Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome in on a Wednesday morning. So much going on. Spring football wrapping up at the Wyatt, continues at the U. The Jazz lose. The Mammoth win a thriller in overtime. Come from behind 3 times to beat Edmonton 6-5 in OT. Great game. And the Masters is getting underway. It's that time of year. Everything's coming together. Let's start with the Masters. Brian Taylor is there. He joined PK and I late in yesterday's show. We got the draft coming up with Bob Casper later today. Here's Brian Taylor with PK and I with Brian at Augusta. Is this just an annual vacation for you? Is this the kind of thing you're just counting down for weeks, months before you take off for Augusta?
I think everybody counts it down. This is my 25th time coming here to Augusta, and that's hard to believe, first of all. Just means I'm getting old. But it's still, you know what, it's still exciting. That's the thing, as we've talked about the last couple of weeks, is whether it's your first time or your 25th time or your 50th time, I think people still get super excited to come back here. There's, you know, we've talked about this for years, DJ, but there's a lot of things in life, and few actually live up to the hype or exceed it, and Augusta's one of those, and they just do such a good job. It's, you know, you show up here and everybody just feels like it's the coolest thing that they've ever experienced, and it's unique, you know. I mean, you don't have cell phones, you don't have, you know, electronic scoreboards, you don't have, you know, big screen televisions everywhere. Like, it's, you literally are in your environment. It's a unique thing to society today, you know, with, you know, not, you have to like sit and look around and think. You can't just at the first moment's notice, you just start scrolling on your phone because you have a downtime for a second, right? It's just a whole different feel and a different vibe. And I think people are starting to appreciate that more as we continually get locked into our electronic devices. It's interesting.
Did you see the little interaction that Brooks Koepka had with the media guy?
No, I missed that.
Well, he asked him, the question was, do you think that somebody can shoot a 59 here? And Koepka fired back, have you played the course? and I thought the media member said, he should have said, no, and neither do I live in a multi-million-dollar house. Which would have been a good response. Of course I haven't played it, but he's talking about the idea of being, man, if you shot a 63, that would be incredible. And most of our listeners, I would think the overwhelming majority, have never been there, have never played it, have never walked it, but you have. So you can speak to, why did Koepka think that was he was incredulous that somebody would potentially shoot a 59. He said maybe from the members' tees, but not from where these guys are teeing off. And why is that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just a context thing, right? I mean, it probably sounds ludicrous to ask somebody like Brooks Koepka in this setting at the Masters, but I overheard a conversation earlier this week where somebody was explaining, in the media dining, somebody was explaining to somebody else what par meant. So my ears perked up. I was like, really? I'm like, we're discussing what par means. So, I mean, look, there's varying levels of media that ascend. This is one of the largest events in the world, and I think you get different people that show up here from different media, you know, whatever. Or it could have just been, I didn't see the interaction, could have just been looking for some sort of sensational reaction, what it sounds like he got. But John Rahm was just in the interview room and had a chance to listen to him, and he got several questions about the strategic, you know, approach to the golf course and what makes it so difficult, and amen corner and all this different stuff. And, you know, you hear him talk about it, and it just reminds you that like, we look at it and say, okay, it's a par 5 that a lot of people eagle. Let's look at 13, for instance. He started describing it, but he goes, it's important. You know, you obviously want to hit a big draw around the corner and get yourself in position to go at that green. But if you get it too far down, what you don't see is that those tall pine trees still, their branches overhang enough to where you still have to hit a slinging hook over Rays Creek into a sort of a narrow green from that angle. So he said and oftentimes you're in sort of a side hill, downhill lie. So it's a very difficult shot. And the other comment he made is people always talk about Augusta National being so wide and wide open, but when you get out here and realize that there's certain areas in which you have to position your tee shot in order to be able to have an optimum shot in, it becomes very narrow. And so just to listen to all of that, he also talked about how, he rarely flag hunts. Typically you're, if you want to get close to a pin, you're aiming some other spot, and using the slope and, all these type of things to be able to get the ball close to the hole. And so the nuances that are involved, and then the fact that it's the same golf course, but it doesn't always play the same way. He talked about the firmness of the greens. He talked about the wind and how it swirls through these trees and, all of those things. And so it was pretty cool, right? I did a bunch of study on scoring average, and you think about through 100 rounds, Tiger Woods, 100 rounds here at Augusta. What would you say Tiger's scoring average is, for instance? I mean, what would your thoughts be? Just throw a number out there.
69.
Yeah, exactly. And it's
just
the
number I was going to say. I don't want to say 70.
Yeah, it's like 71, right? And just under 71. So he's just barely a shot under par through 100 rounds. And you just think, Tiger would be in the 60s for sure. That's not the case. It's just so even though Augusta gets a lot of, sometimes criticism, can stand the test of time, today's equipment, better athletes, all that kind of stuff, you're still seeing the best scoring averages barely a shot under par. And it's pretty cool.
It seems like the tour just constantly reinvents itself. There's always some youngster in the mid-20s. They don't have all the experience to handle all this nuance at Augusta. But, man, they've been the best players on tour here early in the year, and some guys who are veterans are further down the money list. Would you go with guys who are hot right now, or do you think that all that course knowledge you're talking about, hey, somebody's going to do well this week who may not be having a great, California or Florida swing, but it's Augusta, and the new guys are going to take their lumps?
Yeah, it's interesting. So this is the 40th anniversary of Jack Nicklaus's, historic win in 1986 at the age of 46. And he got his record green jacket that year. So there's a lot of talk about Jack, and so you start to think, well, history often lines itself up around here. Might we see a 45-year-old, win, again, here? And you start thinking about Justin Rose, of course, who's, lost in the playoff twice, including last year. And then, of course, we remember Fuzzy Zoeller, who passed away this past year. And he was the last player to win in his first attempt back in 1979. So then you say, well, with that and Fuzzy's passing, might a first-timer, come through and win for the first time since Fuzzy? And, so you start thinking of all those. And we ran those scenarios, and almost every person says, I take the 45-year-old. It's more likely, even though, Jack was 46 40 years ago, just feels like, that's probably more likely given the experience required and that sort of thing. Having said all that, my pick's Ludwig Åberg. He's played 2 Masters. He finished runner-up in his first attempt, finished 7th last year. I mean, he's this guy. He's been in position. Yeah, he didn't finish well at the Players Championship, but he was in contention there, playing in the final group. He was in contention last week. I just think Åberg, and when you see him, he's like such a you can accuse me of having a man crush on Åberg. That's fine. But the guy is like unbelievable. How could you not want to come back as that guy, right? I mean, he's like 6'2". He hits the ball a mile. He's unbelievable. You would think if you were just betting ponies and you lined Scheffler up and you lined Åberg up, you're probably going to put your money on Åberg, just looking at the two guys, right? And so I don't know. I like his game, and he just doesn't seem to be too fazed by much, and you kind of need that around here. And so I could see that. I could see a younger guy, a first-timer. I don't know. I mean, Jacob Bridgman is a heck of a putter, and you look at Roderick, he's the only 2-time winner, multiple-time winner this year, right? This is his first time. It's Jacob's first time, and I just think it's an eyes-wide-open kind of experience for a lot of these guys out here.
Are they doing anything for Faldo because it's the 30th year of his last of 3 Masters that he won?
It's one of the things, what's interesting is I walked into they have a press locker room, and I walked down in there, and I'm looking at these pictures, and I'm seeing a newspaper, and there's all these like old newspapers articles, like front page, blown up, on a frame and everything, and there's Danny Willett, and it's been 10 years since Danny Willett won, and then there's a thing on Faldo, and I'm like, look at that. I mean, there's the thing on Jack, there's all this stuff, right? So they do that. And I asked the attendant, I go, they check this is new, right? They change these. It goes, yeah, they change them out every year. So yeah, I mean, you're gonna start. You'll see that those little milestones are featured around the golf course during the milestone years, like Faldo in '96 and that kind of thing. It's also, interestingly enough, going through those numbers, is it's been 25 years since Tiger completed the Tiger Slam here at Augusta National. So pretty good, by the way. He did have Valhalla in there, which is no shade on Valhalla. But when your slam includes obviously Augusta and then St. Andrews and Pebble Beach, that's a pretty dang good slam, by the way.
Oh, for sure. I don't know there could be a bad one.
Right? Well, that's true. But if you're going to win it, I mean, why not have Augusta, Pebble, and St. Andrews, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have they changed anything there this year? Some years it seems like that's a big storyline. Some years it's not.
Yeah, so they've lengthened 17, I think about 10 yards is all. So not much. Some big changes a few years ago with 13, obviously getting lengthened, that par 5 and stuff. But no major changes this year to the golf course. One of the things that I'm staring out from my little radio perch here from the far end of the range, looking down the range, right behind the grandstands, which are positioned to watch the players practice, is the new Player Performance Center, which they built, just literally from last Masters to this Masters. And this is a place where the players and their families can hang out. There's physio in there. There's restaurant and food. There's a locker room. And so it's phenomenal, like state-of-the-art, unbelievable. And you know what? Everybody would give that up in a moment to go to that old little place in the old clubhouse called the Champions Locker Room. But yeah, those are some of the new things that for this year.
What's on the menu at the Champions Dinner? Do you know?
Oh man, it's the best menu I think I've ever seen. First of all, how about this starter? Peach and what was the cheese? Some sort of cheese flatbread. And I'm like, okay, you had me at that, right? And then the one that everyone gets hung up on is bacon-wrapped dates. And people are going, yeah, I'm not a date guy. No, but think about it. You've ever had like a burger with bacon jam on it? You're basically creating the bacon jam as you bite it. Like that is what it is. Dates are sweet. You got the bacon on there. I think it's got some goat cheese wrapped in with it. I mean, I'm like, this is brilliant, right? And then he's got this either a salmon fillet or a Wagyu steak fillet. And then, you ready? Kicking it off dessert, sticky toffee pudding. I was in Scotland last year, and there's not a lot to brag about as far as sweets go in Scotland, but the sticky toffee pudding, it's homemade everywhere you go. It's unbelievable stuff. And, yeah, I think this might be one of the best menus I've ever seen. Terrific.
It's a peach and ricotta flatbread with
there
balsamic hot honey and basil.
Oh.
Ooh.
Let's go.
Have you
I'm
ever
going to try to recreate that on the – yeah.
Have you ever had grilled elk sliders before?
That one would be probably the one I'd pass on. Not everybody but me.
Caramelized onion jam. Okay, there's 3 words I've never put together in my life before. Caramelized onion jam.
Sounds amazing. Put that on anything, it'll be good.
All right, there's Brian Taylor talking Masters, and we will talk with Bob Casper coming up at 8 o'clock. We're going to take a break. When we come back, the Jazz get beat and the Mammoth prevail. Stay with us. Good morning, DJ and PK. A reminder, the KSL Sports Zone and Beehive Meals are honoring people that impact youth sports in our communities. Nominate the youth sports volunteer you know for the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week, KSLSports.com/contest. And listen every Thursday afternoon to JJ and Alex for the winner. It's the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week. All right, the Utah Jazz, 3 games. Well, now only 2 to go. They lost to New Orleans. What went wrong in the second half? Or, if you're into the tanking, what went right? Let's get to the best of the postgame show.
Jazz recap here on DJ and PK 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott with you. The Jazz lost last night to the Pelicans, 156-137. The Jazz gave up 95 points to the Pelicans in the second half. The Jazz were led in the loss by Kennedy Chandler, who had a career-high 31 points, 11 of 18 shooting for him. Bez Mbang had a career-high 26 points on 12 of 18 shooting. And John Conchar had a triple-double, 12 points, 10 rebounds, and 10 assists. But the Jazz, not great on the defensive end. Jeremiah Fierce for the Pelicans had a career-high 40 points. Jordan Poole added 34. Let's get to the post-game sound of Jazz head coach Will Hardy.
42 transition points, 90 in the paint. They had 18 transition points in the third quarter alone. So, I think the guys are fighting hard, but I think a lot of the schedule and the fatigue caught up with us tonight. John had a triple-double. That's good news. John's a really good all-around player, does it in a lot of different ways. he's so unselfish with just how he approaches the game, does dirty work, guards, cuts, rebounds, forces turnovers. Obviously 10 assists tonight is a great number for him. He's an unselfish player in a lot of ways. It's a heck of a game by him.
There's Jazz head coach Will Hardy. Let's get some player sound for you and hear from Bez Mbang.
Bez, a career night tonight, 26 points, and I believe you played 48 minutes out there. Can you describe your game tonight?
Of course, we wanted to come out with the win, but it was just nice to compete out there with my team for another game. Of course, 48 minutes is a lot, but you don't get the opportunity a lot. So, I was tired at times out there, but, just a great opportunity to go out there and showcase my skills another night. Just a great opportunity. That's how I'll describe it.
How do you push through in moments when you are feeling tired playing that type of minutes?
You got to find something. I think at that point it just comes down to how bad do you want it. Like, you got to push through. Like, everybody gets fatigued out there at times. We played, and a lot of guys in this league, we've all played a lot of basketball. So I think you try to find something within you that just gives you the extra bit of fuel. I think a lot of guys find that often. I don't really know what it is, but you just got to dig down.
How would you say you're starting to kind of find your groove and rhythm when you're out on the court now with the Jazz?
I think it's credit to the coaches and my teammates. Just learning the system more, learning how to play with them. I think that's the biggest thing, just learning how to get my teammates open, get them better, and then get me easy opportunities, defend hard, just give effort. As I continue to learn my teammates, learn my coaches, learn the system, I think, I continue to show a little bit more of what I could do. So it was, like I said, it was another great opportunity to do that on the floor tonight with the team. It was amazing.
That's Bez Mbang, 26 points, career high for him, 12 of 18 shooting. Let's now hear from Kennedy Chandler.
Just my energy, coming off the bench, trying to bring as much intensity, energy I can off the bench, and using my speed and my athleticism, and that's what got me going.
You told me before this road trip you're excited to just hit the road and play the teams that you did. And now that that's over, what does that feel like to just get all of this under your belt, this experience?
Great experience. Just being on the road, getting the NBA experience, traveling, legs tired. Just a good feeling, just being out here on the court. We still got 2 more games, so want to finish out strong, get healthy, recovery. Banged up a little bit, but just want to get as much recovery I can before the game on Friday.
I know we kind of talked about your role as a point guard, but where does your confidence come from when you're able to just kind of facilitate out there with guys that you haven't really played for that long?
Those guys give me the confidence because they be ready to shoot, be ready for the kickouts that I draw some attention to paint, that I spray out. Those guys be ready to either catch and drive or catch and shoot. So I've been doing it all year, just not on the NBA court. I've been doing the G League, so just taking it from what I did in the G League to the NBA.
Last question to play Memphis next. Do you still know a lot of the different players and staff who are on that team, or what's it going to be like to play against them on Friday?
I know a couple of staff people that were still there. Looking forward to seeing them, speaking with them, and it's been a little minute. Being with those guys or some of the players, if those players travel, so it'd be a good experience for me to be able to see everybody and just another game ahead of us.
That's Kennedy Chandler, 31 points, but the Jazz come up short against the Pelicans. They lose 156-137. Final home game of the season coming your way on Friday night. The Jazz will be in action taking on the Grizzlies. Tip-off will be at 7:30. Pregame 6:30.
There's the best of the postgame show as the Jazz lose to the Pelicans. Now let's pivot to the Utah Mammoth at home against the Edmonton Oilers, a team they could very easily meet in the first round of the playoffs. Thrilling game as they were down 3-1 at the end of one period. They were down 4-3 late in the second, 5-4 in the third, and they come back and win 6-5 in overtime. Great game. Let's get to the best of the Mammoth postgame show.
DJ and PK, the Utah Mammoth, for the first time ever, defeated the Edmonton Oilers 6-5 in overtime on Tuesday night at the Delta Center on what could potentially be a first-round playoff matchup for Utah. In fact, if the playoffs started today, it would be the Mammoth and Edmonton. And Utah, with 6 games left in the regular season, coming from behind 3 times on Tuesday night to get a big victory against Edmonton. Their 41st of the year. Their magic number is now 6. Again, Utah could officially clinch a playoff berth coming up within the next couple of days. They got the scoring started early in this one, 1:53 into the first. J.J. Peterka, his 24th.
Backdoor, they score! J.J. Peterka found a sliver of daylight.
But 11 seconds later, Edmonton tied it, and before you knew it, they had a 3-1 lead. Mammoth, though, able to get things back under control, and head coach Andre Tourney says this goal right here from Nick Schmaltz was a real pivotal point in getting the Utah comeback started on the way to victory.
Keller in front, they score! Nick Schmaltz finds the back of the net, and Utah is back within 1.
Less than 5 minutes later, Logan Cooley's 23rd tied it up.
This way, one-timer Cooley, and he scores! Logan Cooley is scalding hot.
But just 47 seconds after that, Edmonton once again responding quickly after a Utah goal. They made it 4-3. Nick Schmaltz, though, short-handed, tied us up going to the second intermission.
Schmaltz fires, scores!
Edmonton came out in the third, got the lead back. Alexander Kerfoot, though, with 7:04 left to go in regulation, tipped home a Sean Dursey shot, tied it up at 5.
Dursey swings it towards the net, and they score! Put another one in the tip jar for Alexander Kerfoot.
And then Clayton Keller on the power play in overtime sends the fans home happy with his 26th of the year.
Sergachev this way for Keller. Right dot, he shoots and scores! Captain on deck! A 6-5 overtime win for the Utah Mammoth!
So a big victory for Utah over Edmonton. Again, they had never defeated them before. 2 weeks ago, Tuesday, they fell 5-2 to the Oilers, but they were able to will their way through this one to win their 4th straight contest. And with 5 games left, Mammoth starting to look pretty good. Is it perfect? No, but they're banking points, banking wins, headed towards the playoffs. Let's hear from Nick Schmaltz, who in the contest got his 29th and 30th goals of the season.
You, other leaders, everyone stepped up tonight. What did it take for this group to get this win over the Edmonton Oilers?
Yeah, it was a fun game. Got down early. I thought we were still playing well even after the first period. I thought we, just gave them some looks that they capitalized on, and we stuck with it all game. We had a feeling that we were going to come back. So great win. It was fun to be a part of. It was a great atmosphere out there.
This group talked about wanting to win at home. Describe to us that atmosphere that you experienced tonight.
Yeah, we want it to be tough to play here. I mean, it's super loud. It's a fun environment to be a part of. So glad we get that win for the fans, and hopefully we can continue that down the stretch here.
Can you describe the level of intensity when it came to the actual game itself in this match?
Yeah, it was pretty high. I mean, kind of know where we stand and where they stand. These points are so valuable, and we want to get that X-Buyer name as fast as we can. So we're doing everything we can, and we're battling every night. And 2 points is huge, especially against that team.
And going into the second intermission, obviously your goal with less than a minute left. Can you walk me through what went through your head? Obviously a big one for the crowd too. Yeah, it was huge. Johnny made a great play. They were kind of at the end of the power play, so I knew they were tired, so I just tried to take off, and I like to shoot low gloves, so fortunate to win in.
Schmaltz's second goal in the game was a shorthanded goal for Utah, the team's 8th of the year. They entered the night 8th in the NHL in shorthanded goals. Another big night from the captain, Clayton Keller, as he now has 11 points in the last 5 games, sending the fans home happy. His 6th-game winner of the year and his 4th in overtime.
To get that win against the Edmonton Oilers tonight.
Yeah, I think we stuck with it all game. Obviously being down 3-1, and I still feel like we were playing good hockey. A couple of bounces here and there, but just part of the way that we stuck with it. We had a big push in the third. We were playing our style of hockey, and we get the goal there, and then we keep pressing. We don't kind of sit back and back up. So it's a good step in the right direction, and still got some games left. So it's a huge win though.
Well, your line mates just hit 30 goals for the first time in his career. What have you seen out of Nick Schmaltz's effort, his hard work, everything that he's done this season?
Yeah, you guys know I think the world of him and him as a player and person, and just so gifted, fast, skilled, thinks the game at such a high level, and has such a good stick. Like there's so many things about his game that people don't recognize or truly appreciate as much as all of us do in this room, and just how good he is. So that's huge for him for sure. He's got that sneaky little wrister, and he's good and tight. He's got good hands. So it's great to see him get that, and I don't think that's the ceiling for him, honestly.
You guys were able to crawl back from 3 different deficits. What about the ability to do that separates elite level teams in this league from the ones that don't make playoffs?
Yeah, I think just pressing when we were down, and still felt like we had lots of confidence all game. We never had that that span of being down on ourselves or whatever it may be. We just kept rolling it over and trusting that it would turn, and I think that's something that we've gotten better at as the years gone on. So good on us, I guess.
And head coach Andre Turney happy with his group's effort. His key word on this one, resilience, as they erased 3 deficits, including a 2-goal deficit. And they won a game that they led for only 11 seconds in.
Are you not entertained? That's an entertaining game. The highlight for me, it's how resilient we were. I think we were playing well. They took the lead. That stuff happened, but it was 3-1, and never felt our guys' confidence went away or stress. Or they were just resilient to stay on it. They knew we were playing well. Obviously, they're a good team on the other side, so they had some moment in the second, but even then, I didn't feel we got out of where we had to be mentally, physically in our game. Really proud of the way we stayed with it, and obviously the second goal, I think, is they're all big goal when you win in overtime, but I think the second goal got us in the groove a little bit, and then we tied the game. They scored 4-3. We came back. I really think it's huge character. The boys stayed in the present. They stayed on it. They were really resilient. Really proud of them.
Cooley and Schmaltz are both on 5-game point streaks. Schmaltz hit 30 goals for the first time in his career. What have you seen, especially as of late, out of their offensive game to consistently be on the score sheet, and the little details they do that aren't on the score sheet?
Well, okay, first, those 2 guys, those 2 lines share McDavid all night long. I think they did a really good job. I think that is, without them doing such a good job on both sides of the puck, they score, both of them, but they as well played really well against 97. So I think they play complete game, and I will start with Schmaltz. Schmaltz always at his best when he has that awareness, that urgency in his game. When he has that, as much as he wants to produce offensively, he's elite defensively, just because here he's at the right place, and that lead to offense for him, and that lead to production. So was good on face-off as well, so did a good job. Cooley, think did a really good job. Made him one mistake in the second puck management. He reacted like a real pro. He knew it. Did not repeat it in overtime. Didn't want somebody who can skate with McDavid, and he had the fire in his eyes. And I got this. I said, hey, you don't take chances. He said, don't worry. He didn't even want to hear me. He was kind of just put me out there and don't worry. And he drew the penalty, and we scored on that. So proud of the young guy.
So now 5 games left in the regular season, starting Thursday night against the Nashville Predators. We'll have it for you on the radio on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Hockey night in Utah starts at 6. Of course, Mike Folta and I will recap it all. Our final thoughts, we'll hear from President of Revenue and Commercial Strategy, Chris Barney, on the all-new Mammoth, the Mammoth Zamboni. You got to see it to believe it. We'll have it on Mammoth Daily, on the Utah Mammoth YouTube page, Mammoth Plus and SEG Plus, and the audio version on Apple and Spotify. If you haven't seen the Mammoth, it was unveiled on Tuesday. You can check it out on Mammoth social media as well. So fun day coming up on Mammoth Daily, wherever you get your podcast. DJ and PK, have a good rest of your Wednesday, and we'll be back Friday morning to recap what we think will be the fifth straight win for Utah.
All right, there's the Best of the Mammoth postgame show. We'll take a break, and then we'll go to BYU. Aaron Roderick, what did he learn during spring practice? We'll hear from the BYU offensive coordinator next. Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. All right, BYU spring practice. What has Aaron Roderick learned about the Cougar offense? Here's the Cougars' longtime OC, Aaron Roderick, with the media.
We've had a good spring. I think improvement all around. It's been nice to have Bear. Bear's first spring. He got here so late last year that I think we've been able to make some really great progress with him and develop the other quarterbacks as well. Seen big improvement with Trayson Bourget and Enoch Watson. I think we're developing depth at every position, like all the new guys. And we have a lot of veteran players that played a lot of football too. So I think we're going to have depth at every position, and I think we have a good football team.
Perfect. Our first question will be from Jake Hatch.
Yeah, Aaron, just wanted to start off asking you, the wide receiver position has got a lot of names there with not a ton of production at the Power 4 level. What's your confidence level coming out of spring that they'll be able to contribute across the board?
We're going to be good there. Yeah, saw a big step forward in JoJo this spring. I think I mentioned a couple times this spring just how tough that injury was that he dealt with last year. Without getting into too much detail, it was a pretty gnarly injury, and he was out for I think it was about 12 weeks in between when he injured it and when he played again, and then when he did play again, it was one of those deals that really sets you back with your confidence to just cut it loose, and it affects you catching the ball, it affects you blocking, taking hits, everything. It just took him a little time, and then I thought in that bowl game, he showed us, that's kind of the JoJo we were expecting. And this spring, he kind of picked up where he left off in that bowl game. And then Kyler Casper has done a great job. He's been everything I hoped he would be. He's going to be a very good player for us. And Legend Glasker's doing a nice job. I've seen improvement in Tiger. Seen improvement in Tay, Reggie Frischneck. All those guys have all gotten better. So now it's just a matter of fall camp, just seeing who emerges, even more. Cody Hagan, he's another one that played a lot for us last year. So somebody always steps up. That's what happens. And I can't tell you exactly who it'll be yet, but those guys will step up.
I also wanted to ask you about offensive line. Do you feel like you've settled on a core group of guys? I know you brought up a bunch of transfer, well, not a number, but 3 guys from the transfer portal.
Yeah, I'm not ready to say exactly who that starting 5 is, but we have more than 5, so that gives me a lot of confidence. Just like last year, we had more than 5. I think we played 8 guys all year, and we have more than 5 that can play, so we're going to be fine there.
Next question from Mitch Harper.
Yeah, Aaron, I'm curious, last year, the last couple of years, you talked about, how helpful it was with Matt Mitchell, bringing Tyler Hughes now, how maybe the chemistry between you two and your vision of the quarterback position, what he's brought to the offensive staff.
Yeah, it's been really smooth transition. Matt did a great job. We're really, really thankful for everything he did. Matt and I had a great relationship, and Tyler and I have kind of picked up right where Matt and I left off. I think Coach Hughes has got a lot of experience. He's brought I think a fresh viewpoint on a few things for us. It's been kind of fun to learn some things. Every time you add a coach to your staff, you have a chance to learn some things about other places they've been. So, when we added TJ Woods, for example, he brings some things that, he's been a bunch of places, and he brings a few things and experiences to the table to share. Kevin Gilbride brought some things that, from his background too. And so all of us are all just trying to get better all the time, the same way we ask our players to. And so each time we add a new coach to our staff, everybody, has an open mind about a fresh perspective. And so I think Coach Hughes has done that with our coaching staff and also with our quarterbacks. And he's doing an outstanding job so far.
And to follow up, you're entering year 9 with the coaching staff, working with Kalani Sitake here at BYU. Just maybe speak to just how much you're enjoying your role and working with Kalani after his extension, and just how much you enjoy being here now at year 9 in the program.
Yeah, I can't believe it's year 9 already. And, Kalani is the reason that I'm here 9 years in. I mean, he's such a great person to work for. He's a great human being. Kalani treats everyone with so much love and respect. The guy that's vacuuming the hallway late at night, or the guy that's driving the bus, he treats that guy the same as he would Brian Santiago or our starting quarterback. And I love working for him, and it's why I'm still here.
Next question from Jay Drew.
Yeah, I got a couple, so I'll try to move quickly. Aaron, what advice or what instruction have you given to Bear as you move into the offseason that you would like to see him work on?
You mean now that we're done with spring, like what's next?
Yeah.
Yeah, just to continue, first of all, physical development. This is his first true college offseason, so we're really trying to refine how he takes care of himself, off the field. Just, I think he's learning about nutrition. He's learning about how important sleep is. He's learning just how to take care of his body on a day-to-day basis. We're trying to get him a little bit leaner, but we don't want to lose a ton of weight. We're trying to be a little bit leaner, just a little bit more fit this year, so he can, withstand the grueling season. We don't want to get him hit as much as we did last year in the run game, but we want to prepare his body for a 14, 15, 16 game season, whatever it ends up being. But so I think that's the number one thing right now, is just physical development, and then continuing to refine just all the little details. There's so many things that when you get here late June last year, like you did, it was a process just getting the offense installed, and Bear's super smart, but now this year we can really refine a lot of those details, whether it's scheme details or sometimes it's just details between two players. For example, he had some chemistry last year with a couple of our players, Carson Ryan in particular, where it was almost like they could read each other's minds, and they couldn't read each other's minds, but they had just tons of reps together and film study together and conversations about, well, if this coverage does this, then you're going to do that. And those things, it just takes time. And so we're in the process of working through those now with our players and Bear. And I think those are some things that there was no chance to work on those last summer. This summer we can.
Did you guys scrimmage today? And if so, how did it go for the offense?
It was sort of, we haven't scrimmaged at all this spring, like live tackle. We haven't done any tackling. It's all just been, the defense tags us and we're down. So, it's kind of fake football a little bit in that regard. I think we've had some days where we've had a lot of success, and our defense has had some good days too. I think it's, that's what you kind of want in spring ball, is it's good, healthy back and forth. I'm pleased with where we're at. I think we're going to have a chance to be really good, and we've moved the ball well this spring. I think our passing game has taken some really good strides forward, which is kind of by necessity, because it's tough to run the ball in spring ball when they can just tag you and you're down. So it's a good chance to work on your passing game, and I think we're taking strides.
Finally, in years past, you've moved your right tackle with experience over to be your left tackle, but it doesn't look like you're doing that this year with Andrew, with having brought on Pocky Finau. Is that accurate? And if so, why? What has Pocky shown you that he could do that position?
Pocky's a good athlete, and he's a left tackle, and just Gentry did a nice job at right last year for us, and so we're going to stick with Gentry at right, and been giving Pocky most of the reps with the ones at left. I expect him to be our starting left tackle, and he's done a good job this spring, and I would expect him to be there game 1 next fall.
Next question from Casey Lundquist.
Yeah, Coach, obviously there's no spring transfer window, but there are a few players still in the transfer portal. Are there any positions that you maybe need to add a body or two at this point?
I don't think so. I don't expect to. I never say never. Maybe there's somebody in the portal that we haven't considered or thought about yet that might, pique our interest or something. I'm not sure, but we don't have a plan to add anyone from the portal at this time.
Next question from Jake Hatch.
Aaron, you've had some tandems of tight ends that have been very, very good in your time at BYU. And I just wanted to have you compare what you've seen from Walker Lyons and Roger Saliapaga to some of those tandems.
Well, I can't believe we've talked this long and nobody asked about those guys yet, because that's two of the best players on our team, and they've shown it this spring. These guys are good ball players. They're going to be a big part of our offense, and both of them have had a great spring. And we made it very clear to them before they came here that, it's not a competition between you two. It's a competition between all the skill players in our program to prove that you're indispensable, and then we'll figure out the personnel groupings. And so, the start of last season or 2 seasons ago, we were really deep at running back. So I don't know if you guys can remember back that far, but Folau, LJ, and Sione Moa, those 3 guys were good football players, so we were doing everything we could to get those guys on the field. And not as dynamic at tight end that year. That year our tight ends were a little more run blockers, tough guys, and then we were pretty dynamic at receiver. This past year we were doing everything we could to get Carson Ryan involved with Chase and LJ out there and Parker, and we had different things. And now this spring, those 2 tight ends have really proven that they're 2 of our best players. So you're going to see those guys a lot. They're good blockers. They're excellent receivers. They're good teammates. They're tough. They both came from good programs where they know how to work. They know how to operate on a day-to-day basis like you're supposed to do it at a high level, and they've been great leaders. So very happy with both of them.
We've only seen this small smattering of practices. Has there been any other player or players, I guess in plural, that stood out to you that we may not have noticed on our end?
It's nice having Sione Moa back. Just what a good player he is. And he was really good 2 years ago, got off to a great start last year. Super serious injury he had. I know you guys have heard some about that, and he looks really good in practice, and I'm psyched to have him back. I don't know, I'll probably forget about somebody, but Legend Glasker is somebody who's really stood out this spring. I expect him to contribute this fall. And the fans haven't seen Kyler Casper yet either, but he's had a really good spring. He's a new guy that's had a great spring in addition to those 2 tight ends. So once I start doing this, then I walk away and I kick myself for forgetting about somebody. But those are some guys that maybe the fans haven't seen a lot of that you're going to see them play in the fall, and you're going to like what you see.
Next question from Mitch Harper.
Aaron, you talked about some of those offensive newcomers with Walker and Roger and Pocky. I wanted to also ask you about Junior Sia. Do you kind of see him competing with Safarichok and Mocassini when he gets back, and all those guys maybe at the guard spot? Like, what's your impressions of Junior Sia and maybe what he could possibly be this fall?
Yeah, he's been getting reps with the second unit. Big guy. He's big, man, and physical, just learning the offense. Probably too early for me to comment on how soon he's going to emerge or whatever, but he's going to be a good player here for sure, and lots of ability, and yeah, that's about as far as I would go right now, but we're really glad we have him.
They wanted to also follow up on the Bear conversation. I remember last year you were pretty open about how when Retzloff was the guy initially, it was 70% completion rate, 30 touchdowns. You'd like to see those statistical benchmarks. Is that similar for what you're hoping to see from Bear this year, or is there more nuance to that because you got LJ who, I mean, he's the offensive player of the year, like just maybe some statistical benchmarks you're hoping for Bear this year?
Yeah, we don't make a lot of statistical goals. I think sometimes stats can be misleading. I think sometimes there's definitely a lot of coaches and players who kind of use stats to sell, to sell something that, or maybe hide some deficiencies or whatever. But, 70% completions, 30 touchdowns, single-digit interceptions. Those have been the years when we've been really great on offense. And Zach did it. Jaron did it. When we've had our best years on offense, that's kind of been the mark, is we're right around that 70% completion range, 30 touchdown passes, and single-digit picks. If you're doing that and you have a solid run game and you're taking care of the football, you're going to score a lot of points. And so, we don't necessarily say that's our goal, but we do talk about sort of those benchmarks of what makes an elite offense. And it starts with taking care of the football. If we do that every week and we do it the way we've done it the last couple of years, then that gives you a chance every week. And now you start, hitting some of those marks where you're running the football well, throwing it efficiently, getting those explosive plays. That's where the points come. And so I do expect us to take a step forward. We were good on offense last year. I expect us to be better this year, and I'm going to be disappointed if we're not. So promise you, nobody out there has higher expectations than I do, and I'm expecting us to take a big step, and that starts with Bear. Bear had a great year last year, and we're expecting him to be even better this year.
All right. Do we have any other questions? All right. Our last question will be from Jay Catch.
Yeah, Aaron, just real quick on the running back front, you mentioned Sione Moa. How many running backs are you comfortable playing? As many as it takes, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, running back is a position where you can play a lot of guys, and you can play guys by situation, but it's no secret. We're going to hand the ball to LJ 20 times a game next year, just like we did last year. And then it's up to those other guys to find their way in. So I think you'll see Sione in the game a good amount with LJ, where they're both on the field together. And then whenever LJ needs a break, Sione, if we had a game today, Sione would be our first option to go in there to spell LJ. So those guys are sort of 1A, 1B right now. And then it's up to, Devon has had a good spring. I think he's going to play for us this year. Preston Rex has improved. So there's, it just depends. Again, it comes with the skill positions. It just comes back to prove to us that you deserve to play. Prove to us that you do something that can help us win, and then it's up to us to find a way to use those guys in whatever personnel groupings we can come up with. That's where football gets fun. You come up with some creative personnel groupings, creative formations that make it hard for the defense to match up.
There's Aaron Roderick with the media. Let's take a break. When we come back, what is trending? The headlines are next.
It's time to get your morning started with the news you need to know. News update. This is what's trending with DJ and PK. Hashtag Utah Jazz.
I think the guys are fighting hard, but I think a lot of the schedule and the fatigue caught up with us tonight.
The schedule and the fatigue. Oh, my gosh. Fortunately, Will Hardy's paid a lot of money, so he can deal with it. But the schedule of playing a team that I believe had lost 8 in a row, the schedule, well, you couldn't have played Mihailuk, you couldn't have played Kevin Love.
Come on now.
It's getting laughable. And that game was absolutely laughable. I thought that I was watching one of those NCAA open practices that they have on the Wednesday before the Thursday game and the Thursday before the Friday games, the first round, where guys just run down the court and put in layup after layup. I mean, holy freak. 156 points, 95 points in the second half they allowed, 50 points in the third quarter. The schedule and fatigue. Why didn't you play Blake Hinson more? Why'd you have to play Bez Menbang or whatever his name is the entire game?
You got all 48, baby.
I mean, this is laughable. But they're doing the right thing, you know? They have this opportunity here to change, to laugh from a good perspective, not from a sad perspective. The Pelicans. I mean, Lion King had a triple-double. Yeah, way to go, Lion King. What's his name?
John Conchar.
And how about my guy? You guys just scoffed and laughed at me yesterday when I said we need to make room for you-know-who. And is it Kennedy Chandler or Chandler Kennedy?
Kennedy Chandler.
He had 31 points, man.
Career high.
To show you what triple doubles are, the Lion King and Nurkic are the ones who've had them this year. Oh, retire their numbers. Stats, you just said Aaron Roderick. What he wanted to say is just go away with your stupid stats, but he couldn't be mean. You notice the people who just pump the stats, they are kind of nerdy, wouldn't you say?
They do love their numbers.
Yeah. So, what more to say? And guys that I've never heard. Micah Peavy, is that he in relation to Micah Potter? He had 20 points. Jordan Poole still in the league. I didn't even know he was still in the league. Kicking around after. He's the one who took a hard right from Draymond Green, right?
Yep,
several years
Warriors
ago.
practice.
Jordan Hawkins, 25, 11 of 16. The Pelicans shoot 58% from the field. Oh, my gosh. We only got 2 more of these, and you can celebrate the great fans who come to the games and cheered them on. That's Friday night. I was at Memphis. And then we have the season ends on Sunday down in Los Angeles. There you go. I mean, what more is to be said by this? Get this over with. Regroup, get the pick, get some players in here, get the guys that are sitting on the bench. I don't even know if they're on the bench anymore, but if you get the point, that aren't playing, and away we go for next season. All right, let's move the freak on to NBA.
Hashtag NBA.
NBA basketball. The Dallas Mavs, they're disputing the claims that Lakers coach, what was that, Roderick, and the Mavs medical team, they examined the wrong part of Austin Reeves' body.
It's a back injury. Well, we're going to check his stomach.
When he received an MRI, now Dallas' staff saying, No, he required 2 MRIs. Roderick saying Reeves required 2 MRIs to diagnose a grade 2 left oblique strain and faulted the Mavericks for their execution of the skin. It's always about execution. How many times have I said that? You got to execute. The execution of the scan, and said they were told where to scan, but scan the wrong area. No, over here. Where's it hurt, Doc? A little over here. You should have said something. No, over there. That's kind of a bizarre story, I think. The Lakers go down. They don't have anybody. I mean, they had like 5-6 guys. Most of their starters were out. And predictably, they get hammered 123-87 by the Thunder. Both those teams. It seemed like they're set. One's going to have the 1 seed, and then the Lakers are going to have the 4 seed. And we'll see if they meet in the second round as it plays out. Doc Rivers, is it over? He declined to say if he was stepping down from his position from the Bucks head coach, but he said that he wanted to spend more time with his grandkids. I think he said he's got 8 of them or 7 of them, and they're all under 8, or 8 of them and they're all under 7, one of the two. And basically said that, okay, you can figure it out for yourself. He's 64 years old. Go live your life, Doc. You got that title in Boston. You coach. He was a fun player to cover. I covered him with his Clippers. He's very open, very accommodating. So I enjoyed conversations with him way back when he was a player. Majerus was the one who gave him the nickname Doc. His first name is Glenn, and that has stuck all these years. And then you see the Kings were fouling Curry's brother on purpose down the stretch as they wanted to lose. And they did. The Warriors won. The Warriors going to get in the play-in with an under 500 record. Yeah, it's gripping. Oh, my gosh. It'll bring such meaning to the final few weeks of the season. People on NBA payrolls trying to sell you something that just ain't true. And that is not true. And the Nets beat the Bucks. And so now you got, oh, man, where's DJ? I got to do some standings here. Hold on. Let me get the standings. Make sure you guys have what you have become accustomed to. The Nets sitting on 20 wins, and the Jazz and the Sacramento Kings sitting on 21 wins. Oh, my gosh. What will it be, my friends? What will it be as we're down to the final stretch of the season? And you've got the Kings. Who the heck do they play? They play Portland and Golden State. Golden State again at home, and then up the coast a little bit to Portland. Oh, this is going to be gripping. I wonder what they're going to do as we continue to make a mockery of competitive desires from these teams. But and that's they're, as I've been saying, in a weird way, they're trying to win. Holy cow, this is the way that they're trying to win, by losing. Now, the Nets have 3 ball games. They got Indiana, who's below them. And Carlisle's taken off. He's going to go visit his daughter or something. They said some interim guy's going to take off. Then they got Milwaukee, who sucks. And they got Toronto, who's decent. Both of those games at the end, the last 2 on the Friday and Sunday, are on the road. We will know when we come in here Monday morning. We'll know exactly where the Jazz stand in terms of the standings. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean the odds-wise lottery balls. I mean, it sets up, but you never know how it's going to play out. We shall see about that. Okay, college basketball, my good friends.
Hashtag college basketball.
Well, the lead story, and this is the story of the day. BYU point guard Robert Wright, the third, not the first, not the second. No, he is the third. And he will enter the transfer portal. Sources told the field of 68. Wright averaged 18.1 points, 4.5 assists, 4.6. Shot 41% from 3. And the mercenary that he is, he started his college career at Baylor and now is at BYU. And will he move on? Should BYU pay him? What lessons are there to be learned? We will get to that coming up right after what is trending. Also, they introduced, I'm sorry, Big Mike. I'm calling you Big Mike. You want to be called Michael? No. There's only one Michael when it's Carolina Blue, and it ain't you. How about that, Yak? That'll work, right?
I like it.
Only one Michael in Carolina Blue, and it ain't you. That is reserved for MJ, not MM. Michael, don't call me Mike Malone. I'm going to call him Big Mike because, my gosh, he's going to make more than $8 million annually as the new head coach of the Tar Heels. 6-year, $50 million contract, immediately making him one of the top paid coaches in college. Uh-oh. Whittingham going to go to Michigan and ask for more? I mean, I know it's football, but still. Mikey Malone? Wow, that's a lot of cash. We'll see how they do, or how he does. Now, his daughter's on the volleyball team there. That's kind of cool. Get to see her. Have an opportunity to watch her play right there in the fall, obviously. All right, that's college basketball. We will be hitting Robert Wright and what should be learned from this. Coming up, stay with us. Let's go to the NFL.
Hashtag NFL.
Fernando Mendoza. He's going to be the first pick, most likely, by the Raiders, right? He's not going to attend it in Pittsburgh. He's going to celebrate with his family in Miami and have the party there. Take the party to Pittsburgh. That's a bad look for the NFL. Your number one guy won't be there. Oh, man. Well, I mean, the good thing about it is we're sending DJ there, so he'll have it covered for us, right? Right? Rob Wright, the third, is gone, and so is DJ. Okay, there you go on that. And Kaepernick, he's written a memoir, The Perilous Fight, will be out this fall as he reflects on his decision a decade ago to take a knee during the national anthem before games. Well, I think I'm going to take a knee on reading that. I'm tired of that story. I mean, he did what he did. I support his right to do it, except I don't necessarily support his right to do it on the job. Go do it on your own time. You can lie down, you can roll over, you can play dead, do whatever you want. I have no problem with that. But during the games, and, the thing is, was he blackballed? Sure. I think he was. But not necessarily as a starter, because he kind of sucked there at the end. His record wasn't very good, but that's a story. Maybe make some more money off of it, recoup some of the money that you possibly could have made.
Yuck. You can't hear me?
All right, so let's go on to the NFL.
Hashtag college football.
Of course, I just said NFL, but I meant you put college football, and we got MLB here. We're sort of discombobulated. I can hear you, and they can hear you. College. Now, we're going to go on to MLB right now. Wow, did you see that? Soler and Lopez, the Angels and the Braves. Oh, my goodness. That was something. That was a big-time brawl there. Jorge Soler and Ronaldo Lopez. Soler with the Angels. Wow. A big roundhouse. And then you had Lopez. I think he had the ball in his hand responding. And then everybody was out there, man. It was Haymaker City. Normally it's maybe a little bit of a tackle, but this thing had some juice to it. I thought we were going to get Al Bernstein on the call there for a second. Oh, yeah, play the audio. Let's go. What the heck?
Was airmail to the backstop. And now here comes Soler. They're going to start to fight. They're throwing blows. We got major differences here as they're throwing haymakers. And now a big pile on the first baseline. Soler was hit by a pitch in the third inning, and we got a riot here in L.A. Here come the bullpen sprinting in from left field, and a pileup on the first base line. In the blink of an eye, that turned into a heavyweight bout with Soler and Lopez throwing blows at each other.
Oh, I like that, man, from the diaphragm. The Braves won that game, right? I think they won 7-2, did they not? Yes, they did. How about that? That was, I would imagine some suspensions will be coming. And you see, what's the guy's, the manager for Toronto? They got called for balk. Gosman, the pitcher, he pitched well in the World Series. And their manager, man, just went nuts on that. They were I was watching that, and I was, oh, man, he's going to hit him in the face. Yeah, and the Dodgers found a way to win again. And Dodgers, you think they'll go undefeated on the road this year, my good friend DJ? Because they're 5-0.
It's impressive, but no, I do not think they're going undefeated on the road. But they're going to be awesome. I mean, that's just it's a nice mix here between blowing teams out and then finding a way to grind out wins.
Yeah, they're 9-2. They got Betts. Betts is on what they call it now, the IR. He's out, maybe, but then whoop-de-doo, he's out. Wasn't he out? He was out a lot of last year. Didn't seem to derail them very much. So, yeah, there you go. Alejandro Kirk, he'll be missed 6 weeks from the Blue Jays. That was a squatty catcher, had a good World Series. He's going to go under surgery for a fractured left arm that was injured on a foul tip. My gosh. You ever known catchers, man? I had an opportunity to talk to Alan Ashfield. He was a San Pedro guy, played at San Pedro High. And so he caught Nolan Ryan. I think at one time he had the record for most no-hitters caught in the big leagues. And most of his fingers, he couldn't straighten out. I mean, literally, he could not straighten them out. And his family actually moved up to Utah here. The local connection. He was an LDS guy. The Bees, they got beat by Reno last night in Game 2. First pitch for Game 2 is tonight. First pitch is at 7:05, and coverage of the game will begin at 6:50 on the KSL Sports Zone with our guy, Tony Parks. All right, DJ, you can handle this because I know you're fired up about your Utah Mammoth.
Hashtag NHL.
Sean Dursey at the left point to his streaking Dylan Gunther. This way, one-timer, Cooley, and he scores! Logan Cooley is scalding hot! One-timer from Kerfoot, and that didn't miss the top left corner by much. Dursey swings it towards the net, and they score! Put another one in the tip jar for Alexander Kerfoot. The Mammoth power play has been as hot as it's been all year over the last 5 games in which they have 9 power play goals. They win the face-off here. It's a 4-on-3. Sergachev this way for Keller. Right dot, he shoots and scores! Captain on deck! A 6-5 overtime win for the Utah Mammoth. Statement made!
PK, we were just joking with Mike yesterday about statement games in the regular season, and he finishes with statement made, and also about, what if it's 30-1? He said, well, you might have to carry me out on a stretcher. Obviously, that was over the top. But 6-5 was over the top, especially because they came from behind not once, not twice, but 3 different times in this game.
Yeah, wow, and that was an amazing game. You know, I'm not a big statement game guy. But now that they won, they made a statement, man. They showed Edmonton, we can not only compete with you, we can beat you. Yeah, and you know, they tie it up, boom, Edmonton comes right back in a blink of an eye, and the Mammoth didn't blink at all. They stayed with it. This is an interesting sport because you never know, and because you never know, you just got to keep plugging away. Because it could take, you can go the whole 60 minutes and have 1 goal, and then you can go almost, 6 seconds is an extreme, but you can go a minute or 2 and have 4 goals. You just don't know in this sport, and it makes it gripping. That was an awesome puck game.
It really was. And the thing is that at 3-1, at the end of the first period, the Mammoth had scored first, and Edmonton went up 3-1. They've never beaten Edmonton. They just can't seem to stop them. They've been one of I think they're the 4th or 5th best defensive team in the league, and Edmonton's just carving them up. So I got to say I was a little surprised
I was
when they
too.
got it back
Absolutely,
to 3-3.
I thought, here we go again.
But when they scored the shorthanded goal at the end of the second period to make it 4-4, at that point my belief was, it felt, and this is a dumb thing to say, but it felt like they led 4-4. And even when they gave up the goal early, 5-4, I'm like, there's another goal in this game. It's going to happen. There's another one. It's just a matter of time. And pretty soon they were buzzing around the net. They were creating chances, and sure enough, they got one. But I got to say also, in these free-flowing sports, it doesn't matter. It's not so much football or baseball because they're just different by their nature. But when you see, I've seen this call in RSL games. We've definitely seen it in Jazz games. And we saw it last night in this Mammoth game when a defender scores, someone's got a defensive mentality, hits a big shot or whatever, or when someone who's supposed to be attacking and scoring makes a big defensive play, it gets everybody all sorts of fired up. And they're in overtime, and there's all this space because they got so many guys off the ice, and Cooley one-on-one to just strip the puck away and then immediately draw the penalty. It's like there's no way after that happens that they won't score on this penalty. They got 2 minutes. They're going to do it. And it turned out they only needed a few seconds.
Yeah. And that's Cools to you, not Cooley. Just simply Cools.
Cools. Yeah. Cools just take the puck right off the other guy's stick.
Cools is our magic, you know? It's just a one-word nickname.
Cools.
Yeah.
And the Zammoth was a big hit. I think all the kids are going to love the Zammoth, whether they're watching on TV or they're at the game. They got the Zamboni retrofitted around, and they got the theme on it, and people clearly love that.
Is the
Zammoth, you can't win them all, so you better have some other entertainment.
Is the Zammoth the version, get the crowd going, of jazz dancers, since you can't have dancers on the ice?
Yeah, I suppose so.
Laker girls?
It's like the original Bear getting up on the ladder and doing the handstand and then holding the sign, and everybody's out there just screaming. And nothing's happening. They're in a timeout. The teams are over at the bench, but the Bears got them whipped into a frenzy. Yeah, I think Zammoth is similar.
Yeah, okay. Zam the Bam playing the hits for the Mam, huh?
There it is.
Okay.
All All right, and there's what is trending, brought to you by Shamrock Plumbing. There's no job too big or too small. Get the personal touch with Shamrock Plumbing. Bob Casper is going to be here to talk about Augusta at 8 o'clock. We will talk Masters golf with him. Tim LaComb at 8:30, Ben Jacobson at 9. And obviously we'll talk transfer portal and strategy and theories with both of those guys. But we'll get to the question of the day next as BYU, I think he was their second best player most nights, certainly after the injury to Saunders he was. Yeah. What is BYU going to do now? What does this mean for planning and building a program going forward? We'll get to that next right here. DJ and PK, question of the day on the way on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This is JJ and Alex. I got this.
Travis Yost, our guest. He covers the NHL for TSN.
For the Mammoth, I think they're the fourth best team in the West. I think that they would be a likely favorite against Anaheim. They could be or should be a favorite in a series against Vegas. If the Mammoth close the season as we expect, by goal differential, this is the best team that has ever been on the ice for either the Utah or Phoenix, Arizona Coyotes franchise by goal differential this season right here, right now. This team absolutely should not be thinking we made it to the playoffs. What an accomplishment. At this point, considering how good the Mammoth have been, and I mean that, they really should be thinking, how do we go in and win a round in the playoffs? And I think if you've got Anaheim on the ice, even if you're the road team in that series, that's a matchup the Mammoth should want, and it's one they should win.
Catch JJ and Alex afternoons from 3 to 7 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ and PK, it is time for the question of the morning, and it is the question on everybody's mind. Rob Wright III into the transfer portal. What should the Cougars do? What can they do? There's both what to do here in the short run with him and then what to do in the long run with how much can you count on guys when they transfer in? I mean, if some guy comes in, he has 1 year left, that's one thing. But to invest in a sophomore, to know you're going to have to help him get better and he's got to improve. But if he's only committed for 1 year, is it really worth it? There are so many questions, PK. Any of these, first off, are there any of these scenarios where the answer is easy?
No.
Or are they all really complicated?
It's most definitely complicated. BYU, by their own acknowledgement, by one of the higher-ups, as practically as high as you can go in church leadership, has told us multiple times that BYU is different, okay? That's their thing. They'll tell you over and over they're different. And so you're going to bring in a kid who I think he's from Delaware, who went to Baylor, and then you're going to bring him into Provo, Utah, and sure, he can embrace it for a time. But what connection is there outside of cash? Let's really boil it down and have some honest talk here. And I think Kevin Young needs to reevaluate everything here. You have a kid who is from Utah. Well, Farmington, where was Dallin Hall from? Somewhere
Plain
up there.
City, Utah.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure where Plain City is, but
Fremont High School, though.
Okay, I know that. I don't know exactly where it is. It's up.
Go
north.
to Ogden. Yeah, go to Ogden, hang a left, and drive halfway to the lake. There's a bunch of, it was farm country, but there are a lot of houses out there now.
Well, if I drive all the way at the lake, I'll be at the lake. And so
halfway.
And then I'm, and then I only got a few more miles to go, and I'm at the lake. And so he's a BYU kid, serves a mission, blah, 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 blah. And he has to transfer out. You bring in this kid. Now, I realize Hall's a senior, so he was going to be going anyway. And you bring in Wright. And what's the point, really? What is the point? He runs the point. But are you really sure you're going to have this kid for anything that you can build? If he leaves now, that you just wasted that year, basically. He's a good player, but what connection does he have to BYU? BYU is different. You tell us that they're different, and so you bring in outsiders, and do they really want to stay there, or they're just mercenaries taking the highest bid? And you can love them up all you want, and I'm sure that they did, but there's no connection there. There's no, this is where I want to be. I just saw a thing with Uvale, the linebacker who went to Cal, and he's talking about, this is where I am, man. This is where I'm supposed to be. I prayed about it, blah, blah, blah. He's obviously an LDS guy, I assume, right? And so he has this strong connection. This is where he wants to be. And so it is. What grade is he? Is he a senior, Yak, or junior?
You double check on that.
All right, he'll double check on that. You never know with these kids what grade they're in, and so there's something special about BYU. What is there something special about BYU for a kid like Rob Wright? Hey, I don't blame him, man. His coach at Baylor said they thought he had him under contract, and then he left. Well, that ought to tell you right there. He's coming to BYU for the money, and by my goodness, come for the money. Stay for the money. Go ahead and do that. But is this what we're going to have now? Is this what BYU is going to become, a basketball factory where kids just change all the time? You bring in kids and they're one and done and all that. Are you going to be left unsatisfied year after year with these kids just coming in? Or do you want a BYU kid? Do you want a Richie Saunders who's going to be there? You want to, and they don't even have to be LDS. Jamal Williams? Who's Jamal Williams? He's a BYU guy. He shows up all the time at BYU, does he not? Yes. And as I understand it, where does he live, Yak? He lives in Utah, or at least he has a house here.
Yeah, he's living here, I think, full-time now.
Right. He's a BYU guy. So I don't care what your religion is. But give me BYU guys, please. I just don't know this is the way to go. Or you just say, hey, listen, man, this is what we're going to do. We're going to get the best players, and then we'll reload. And right, you just open up the internet. Oh, BYU has reached out to San Jose transfer Colby Garland. He's a potential guy who can run the point, play some guard for you. And you look at, according to what's on the internet, Kansas State, Indiana, Nebraska, Syracuse, Oregon, a bunch of pretty good basketball schools are after him. So the kid probably has some talent, right? Or do you just go down this road every year? Or do you need to step back and say, we're going to do it the BYU way because we're different? Is this the way? Because this isn't different. This is the lay of the land now. You bring in a kid, you pay him a bunch of money, and then boom, he's out the door, and you got to start all over again. Or do you just say, we're going to pay him whatever, we will not be outbid. You will not outbid us. So now, if somebody bids, do you just match it or do you make it higher? How do you go? I'm throwing stuff out, and I realize that my tone is harsh, so it sounds negative and all that, but I got passion on this. And guys from the East Coast, you just saw Dan Hurley. I'm not MFing anybody. Guys from the East Coast, when they have passion, their voices get animated, all right? Just got to deal with it.
All right. Don't go Dan Hurley's mom on us. Hold on to that. I think there's multiple things to unpack. You just raced through, in my mind, 6, 7, even 8 scenarios. I'm not even sure I can remember them all. I think the first thing is, what's the goal? Like, if you are bound and determined that at some point we're going to be a Final Four team, so we're no longer, it's BYU and Missouri, the two teams with the most NCAA tournament appearances without ever going to a Final Four. If you're bound and determined to get that off your resume, I don't think you can go with the one scenario you laid out in that whole list of scenarios, which is, we're going to do this with BYU guys. Because if you were going to do it with BYU guys, then you probably would have already done it. And you've been to a couple of Sweet 16s doing it that way, one with Ainge and one with Jimmer. And then you start changing the formula last year and you get to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, but
so
I disagree with that.
What you want.
I disagree with that.
You got to decide what you want.
Because
with what?
BYU guys now means different than BYU guys in 1981. Let's call it like it is.
Okay,
that 1981 team was full of LDS guys, and they were all Mormons. And to a large extent, that's what you had with Jimmer.
Mm-hmm.
You can get Dielman, in my mind, is a BYU guy, right? He only played one season, but he's still he loves them up left and right. He's a BYU guy. So my point is, the canvas of recruiting and the pool of recruiting for BYU has opened up a lot more since they allowed the players to wear earrings.
So there's a difference between, it's not just church players and not church player. It's church player, and then you're not church player, but you are BYU guy.
Yes.
Right? And
yes.
then there's also I'm highest bidder player over here.
Yes.
Right? You got another group of players. I'm
yes.
They're not old enough to have seen the movie when it came out in theaters. Maybe they've seen it since then streaming. But show me the money guy, right? So
I went to Arizona State. I'm a Sun Devil.
See? So you can, and then also I think there's okay, you're show me the money guy, but you're a junior or senior. Because we have seen, and this goes back at least 20 or 30 years, we've seen JC guys come in and think, all right, this isn't really my thing, but I could do it for 18 months.
Yes, they've told them that. They've pitched that in recruiting.
Literally, right?
Yes.
And the 18 months isn't the same as going to a freshman and sophomore and saying you got 3 or 4 years.
Exactly.
It just lands different. First off, guys are maturing and getting more focused on what they want to do with their lives.
Yes.
So that's changing. And then also it's just the time element. It's just not as long a time. We can all do stuff we don't really want to do for a short period of time.
Yeah.
The longer the time gets, the bigger the ask. So, but I think to get back to your original point about church guy, BYU guy, you know, in the Venn diagram with all the overlapping.
And I love Venn diagrams.
I know you do. I see you sketching them out during the commercial breaks. That don't turn away the church BYU guy who, because not all the church people want to go to BYU. We've seen that, right? We've seen people going to Duke. We've seen people going to Stanford. But if you're the church person, you know, the return missionary and all that, and you're also the BYU, like, don't push those people out of the program. And the third thing is you got to be good enough, right?
Got to be good
You're
enough,
good
most
enough
definitely.
To play
Kevin Young's
big
paid to
minutes
win
on the
basketball
NCAA
games. So, I agree with you 100%.
Right. So don't push away. That's the first thing. Before you decide who you are or aren't going to get, at the core, if that's church person, return missionary, BYU, and capable of playing 20 or 30 minutes for an NCAA tournament team, you got to hold on to that guy. Don't lose those players. You got to invest in them. In some cases, they may not be 20, 30-minute player as a freshman, but they can grow into that by the time they're a junior. You've got to find room in your program for those program guys.
Yes.
Now, when you start evaluating people who are coming from everywhere else in the country, and who knows what kind of church background they do or don't have, or for that matter, anywhere else in the world, some people still fit. And you're still going to have those players on your team. I mean, Basketba came, he didn't leave after 1 year. He came back into the second year. So I think he fits under that BYU guy definition. That's where you got to do your homework and know people and know the family situation. And I think even what part of the country you come from. You were telling me 30 years ago, hey, it's coming to Utah from the Midwest is different than coming to Utah from the West Coast. Look how many Midwest guys are transferring out, and look how many West Coast guys not from here, and it's different, but they can figure it out. They can figure their way, and it really pays off both for the player and the school.
Right.
So you got to dig into all of those subtleties, and that doesn't mean you can't bring someone in from California and they bolt after a year because they get a bigger payday.
Right.
But I do think bringing people in from Texas, especially, and from the Eastern time zone, there are just so many schools in these places. And if you shine, and if you're trying to hold on to somebody for 3 years, if you're right and you get the player and you start winning and the player's performing, the line of schools is going to be massive. You know, that's the other reason it's safer to take kids from the Mountain time zone or from the Pacific time zone. Like, there aren't as many big time schools. If you're truly going to play big time basketball in this side of the country, I mean, you can go to Arizona, you can go to Gonzaga. There's a handful of schools you can go to, but there aren't very many. But when a kid is from the East Coast or from Texas, there's no end to the number of schools. You know, Texas is big time. Texas Tech is big time. Texas A&M is big time. It's not that far to LSU. They'll pay for sure. It's not that far to Oklahoma from Dallas. You know, you can get to Oklahoma City in like 3 hours. So I think they got to factor all that stuff in. It's a case-by-case basis. It's not particularly surprising that this one might end up biting them, right? But also, he's in a portal. He's not gone. If he's truly highest bidder guy, and if you're really convinced he's the guy, and if you're not going to be outbid, you know, maybe he's a shrewd businessman. He and his people are just like, hey, I bet they'll pay if we do this.
Oh, Rob Wright?
He's got a little leverage.
Yeah. I mean, he's already done it. He's already proven he and his people are shrewd because he's already done it once.
He signed a contract to Baylor and then bailed.
Yeah, so he's already shown it.
Bye.
Right. So I have, and I don't blame the kid whatsoever. And I'm not even sure I blame Kevin Young because he's trying to win. He's doing everything possible to try to win at the highest level. And if I'm a BYU fan, that's what I want. I just don't know how they reconcile BYU is different. And we know how they're different, right? We understand it. And you bring a kid in that has no connection. Is it worth it to do that and then have him bolt? Because now we're in the 2 point guards that they've had have only stayed, really the 3 point guards, include Hall. All three of them have only stayed at BYU 1 year. Hall, Yegor, and Wright. And is that something that you need to look at and say, maybe we spend the money over here a little bit differently? And so this kid is not quite as individually talented as Robert Wright, but I got a better chance of having him be in the program. And I'm not, this is no criticism of Kevin Young. I believe in the guy 100%. And I know I've got some stuff has gotten back to me about him thinking that I criticize him, but it's not the case. At the end of the season, in Portland, he did shake my hand and said, "Thanks for covering our team this year." That literally happened, and he was not just me. There was other guys too, and so we do cover the team. I went to more games, and we follow the team. I'm just wondering out loud, what is the best strategy for this program going forward? Not claiming that I've got a bunch of answers here.
So there's another thing that we haven't even talked about, and this is a basketball thing, and we will get to that next. Stay with us. DJ and P 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
Kyle Filipowski deserves a lot of credit. They're trying not to play him because he's been too good. So he's only playing 31 minutes, and he's scoring with an incredible efficiency, and he's actually playing tough.
4 straight games with over 20 points. He's been really, really good.
He's played tough enough that he can play big minutes on, not big minutes, minutes as a big, yeah. On a contending team. And I wouldn't have told you that was true before the season. He might be 15 minutes a night 5. He might be a good enough 5 that you can wrong foot the other team.
15 minutes a night going into what will be year 3 now, and continue to play bigger. But yeah, I mean, he becomes a very valuable player.
If he can play a little bit at what was traditionally the 4, what is basically a wing, and be good enough defensively, then you've got yourself a stew going. You've got yourself a guy you can use.
Catch Jake and Ben weekdays from 10 to noon on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's time for the Copper Rock Masters giveaway. Be caller 12 right now, 801-575-ZONE, and you'll be assigned a player in the field to the Masters this week. We're giving away a top 25, and also a 26th qualifier will get the field. If a golfer wins the Masters, you'll win 18 holes for 2 at Copper Rock Golf Course in Hurricane, and a $100 gas gift card. It's brought to you by Copper Rock, where the pros play. We have more golf coming up, including Bob Casper from the Masters. He'll join us in our very next segment. Right now, we're talking about Rob Wright, the news he's going into the transfer portal. The question, is it worth it? Should they be counting on these one-and-dones? And, PK, I think the answer definitely is depends. But I think the thing, and you brought up Yegor last year, and I think the thing is, with Wright, he's a 6-foot-tall guy, and his offensive numbers, he's 18 points and shoots 41% and all that. But a 6-foot guard, how good are you defensively? Are you dominant defensively? This team has got to get better defensively. I'm willing to roll the dice on the guys who are big for their position, and I'm especially more likely to, if I were calling the shots, which obviously I'm not, but I'm more likely to do it if there's a relationship between Travis and Yegor, so there's a better chance he's a BYU guy and he knows what he's getting into and he'll fit. AJ DeBonsa came to Utah for his senior year of high school. There's a better chance he'll fit. They're both big for their position, so I'm more likely to take a chance if I have some doubt and roll my dice. But a 6-foot-tall, ball-dominant point guard who doesn't have a tie here, yeah, those are the other elements that make me think that's a riskier call, especially if you've got someone in the program who can play that position at a pretty good level. Maybe you think Wright can play it a little bit. Is the risk worth it for that little bit of improvement? It's hindsight sitting here talking about it now. Yeah. And maybe they will get him back. Maybe it's just leverage for cash and they've got it and this will all work out. But I think you got to weigh all those things. The other guys are 6'9", and they're going against guys that they're much bigger than. And to some degree or another, I'm finding that there's a relationship other than being the highest bidder. And so that makes me feel better. And then it's case by case, and you got to weigh and decide when to roll the dice. The other thing that we haven't talked about in this is that given the teams that I grew up either A, rooting for, or B, covering, and certainly what I saw when I moved to Utah and Lavelle Edwards and Jerry Sloan, and really even Ron McBride, who was there more than a decade, the benefits that all of those teams / schools got from continuity were really big. There were real benefits in continuity. And I saw that with Jerry Pym when I was at UC Santa Barbara, the same deal. But in this era, when all the rules have changed so much and there's no guardrails, I mean, I never thought I heard guardrails with college sports this much. And there's no guardrails, man, Indiana and Michigan, you got second-year coaches. There's no continuity there. And we've seen it with Utah State going through 6 coaches in 10 years. You really can put together a team in 1 year. So maybe it's up to the rest of us also to think, well, and also coaches have always valued continuity, to think continuity just doesn't count as much for these days under these rules. It's not like Arizona and Duke have a ton of continuity. Now, they didn't get where they wanted. Arizona got to the Final Four, and they wanted that. They got to they didn't get the title that they wanted. Duke's had Elite Eight and Final Fours, and they're building their rosters every year. So maybe we should be less perturbed by the one and done as long as those kids are good enough to deliver.
Well, I still think for BYU, because they're different, they're not Duke. They're not Indiana's school over there.
And they're not Michigan and they're not Arizona.
Whoever it might be.
I get your point.
Right. And you can't just go and recruit like everybody else and then tell us you're different. That doesn't jive.
We're different until it comes to basketball. I do think that there is value, and you see this in the regular season, you see it in the tournament. The player with the most talent doesn't necessarily win. The freshman with more talent loses to a third or fourth year player who's got good talent, but not great talent, but they've got experience. They've been through it. So that's a place where continuity can still pay off.
Right. And Rob Wright's a sophomore, but
right, he is. Yeah.
I just think, what's the pull to keep him? If somebody over here is offering me more money and I'm not a BYU guy, my family, like DeBonsa, they all moved out and they embraced themselves in the community. And good for them. It's a success story. If he was a success. It was worth having him in the program. He brought you untold publicity that there's no way you could have bought. You just couldn't have. And he's going to represent BYU. I just don't feel like Rob Wright is going to represent BYU. He's going to represent himself. So was that worth it? And there's not a tie to want to stay. It's just, give me more money. There might be some guys who say, hey, I want to go to BYU, and I'm going to leave money on the table because this is where I want to be. Those are the guys you want.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the case, even what we heard with DeBonsa. Like, here's the threshold. Once you get to the threshold, now he's so good and he'll probably be the number one pick. And so his threshold's higher. But for the players who are like, okay, this is my number. Now there's 3, 5, 6, whatever schools, 2, whatever it is, who've met that number. Now I'm going to let the other stuff decide. That, I think, would give you a little more confidence. Okay, we got a chance to build a relationship but based on whatever other this kid decides, as opposed to simply it's an auction, who's the highest bidder.
Right.
All right, DJ and PK, we're going to take a break. When we come back, Bob Casper joins us from Augusta. We'll get the draft. We'll get our picks. Stay with us. We're talking Masters with Bob next.
Meet Christine. She loves shopping. And this is the sound of fashion overload. Too many fabulous things, not enough space. So Christine started selling with The RealReal.
I've always loved collecting designer pieces. Gucci bags, Prada heels. But my style keeps evolving. Selling with The RealReal? Game changer. I earn more, and they do everything.
Seriously, just drop off your items or schedule a pickup. We handle the photos, descriptions, pricing, even shipping. You just sit back and watch your items sell fast to our 38 million members.
And I get peace of mind knowing I earn more selling with The RealReal than anywhere else.
Exactly. That's the sound of your closet working for you. The RealReal. Earn more, save time, sell fast. And right now, you can get an extra $100 site credit when you sell for the first time. Go to therealreal.com to get your extra $100. Therealreal.com. That's therealreal.com.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. The Masters begins Thursday morning. PK, you done your homework? You ready to make your picks?
No, I shoot from the hip.
That's what you say. But you got an idea. Because then I say somebody, and you're like, oh, I was going to take that guy.
All right. Why don't I just think of it? I got some guys in mind, but they're the usual guys. I got maybe one or two guys that are different.
Well, you know, the thing about Augusta is the last 6-7 years, I think it's been all top, well, with one exception, all top 10 golfers in the world. So, and even then, I think it was 14. So this has not been a tournament where people have come from up the track, as you like to say.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of pressure on these guys to perform, and they put it on themselves too. I mean, you see it. You see what it means. A guy like Rory McIlroy, when that thing happened last year, and it's an emotional and it's draining, and it takes a lot of mental effort. I remember the thing that will stick with me with that Nick Faldo interview, and we can talk to Bob here a second. He said you got to be an 8 out of 10 in so many aspects, but in the mental aspect, you got to be a 10 out of 10.
All right, let's bring in Bob Casper. But first, you know, Bob's a big deal, so he gets an open.
This 2026 Masters Update live from Augusta is brought to you by Copper Rock, where the pros play on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Bob, good morning. How glorious is it at Augusta National right now?
You know, it's pretty nice right now. It's a little chilly compared to the last couple of days and the days going forward for tournament days. But, you know, it's going to be right around 68 to 70 degrees today. And then it's just going to get warmer on the weekends. It's going to be in the low 80s.
Yeah, they're saying no rain at all this week, right?
None. Yep. The forecast is glorious.
So how fast are the greens when the forecast is glorious?
They are fast, and they get faster. I don't know. They're probably going to be 12, 13s. And if you're going downhill, they're probably going to be about 16 to 18.
Well, my golf game's always going downhill, Bob, so I know exactly what you're talking about there. I got a question that I've been waiting for 3 months to ask you. Your father had left me hanging. So in January, I went down to the Palm Springs tournament, right? And, you know, I go one day, and they had a concert there out on the driving range on the other end. And so we had a great time. And I usually play a couple days of golf. There's a golf course called Canyon Country. It was a private club for, like, the Rat Pack back in the day. And so I went, and they have a north and a south course. And right on the north course was the Hammer. Fred Williamson lived there, and I actually talked to him still lives there. He's 86 years old. I talked to him while I was playing. But they had this thing called the Sinatra Swing Fest, and I took a picture of it, and they had the leaderboard, and your father was only 2 off, but they had the leaders for 3 days. He shot a 67, 70, 73, and then I never found out what happened. Do you know what happened in that year at the Sinatra Swing Fest?
I'm hanging again because I have no clue.
I figured you didn't. But they have Sinatra pictures all over the place, and apparently he hosted this Sinatra Swing Fest. I don't know that it was a real tour, but they had some big names on there. Guy Berger, Frank Beard. Your father was there. A guy named Mason Rudolph, not the quarterback who plays for Pittsburgh.
I know Mason Rudolph.
Oh, you know him personally? Yeah. So, did your father ever talk about playing there with Sinatra or at his tournament?
Well, you know, he played with a lot of those guys. I can remember being there in Palm Springs and him playing with presidents.
Joe Ford.
I remember him playing with Jackie Gleason and Sammy Davis, and there were a lot of guys that he played with in that event because Bob Hope held the event, and all the guys from Hollywood and everything wanted to come over and play. And then Bing Crosby held the event up at the Crosby Clam Bake, and a lot of the guys wanted to go up there and play too. So there was a lot more celebrities playing in that event than they're used back in the day. But now it's a lot of corporate people and that kind of thing that play in that event.
Cool memories.
Yep.
Yeah, which celebrities should I know growing up in San Diego, as you know, Andy Williams was there. There were celebrities all over the tour. Which celebrities would be a good fit now, Bob? We got to bring that back. Let's make that happen. Who
Kid
you got?
Rock?
The Rock.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if Rock is involved with golf at all.
No, not The Rock. Kid Rock. Kid Rock plays golf. I want Kid Rock.
Kid Rock.
I want to mix it up a little bit.
That would be an interesting sponsor. But Sammy Davis and Glenn Campbell and Frank Sinatra, Andy Williams, not Sinatra, but Crosby and Bob Hope and Andy Williams. Those guys were all had lent their names to events on the PGA Tour, which was really cool.
So with that in mind, the characteristics of winning golf, what needs to happen if you look at, okay, you got to check off this, and this, and then how does that match up, this, and this, whatever that might be, those characteristics with the particular players in the field?
Well, here at Augusta or just in general?
For the Masters.
Okay, so, a U.S. Open is a crazy test of golf in that they want you to hit every club in your bag. Well, here at Augusta, the clubs that are primary are probably second shots into greens or approach shots into greens, and how good your short game is, putting and chipping. Putting is paramount here. And the driving areas at this golf course are quite ample. So if you have length, you're going to be able to get it down there a ways, but it depends on how you get the ball on the green, where you place that ball on the green with your second shot, and then again, you're chipping and putting. Because if you miss a green or it bounces over a green or something like that, then you've got to be able to get it up and down. And hopefully you keep it in a place where you're able to do that. So I would say approach shots, chipping and putting, short game.
So I was listening to some pros roundtable kind of thing. It was driven by some sponsor, so I don't know what it was exactly. And I only saw clips of it on social media. But they were talking that, yes, the landing areas are ample, and you're not really in trouble with a slightly errant drive the way you would be somewhere else where you think, hey, I'm in the rough, or it's super narrow and all these trees, and you're going to hear that thwack that the network cameras are going to pick up.
Yep.
But what they did say was that if you're at the wrong position, it looks like it's okay. You can find your ball and everything's fine, but it messes up your angle into the green. And there's greens that are protected by low-hanging trees and all that. So even though if you just casually glance at someone, it looks like, oh, he's okay. Your second shot, you're having to thread the needle in a way that you don't if you're a little more careful with where you put that first shot.
Growing up, my dad, he watched Ben Hogan one time play at San Diego Country Club, and Hogan was coming in for this little exhibition at the club, and he would hit drives on each of the holes, try to get the ball in the right center of the fairway, the center of the fairway, and the left center of the fairway, or left side of the fairway. And he would see how approach shots into the greens were accepted from these different positions. That's part of learning the golf course and part of getting yourself around a golf course to be able to score as best as you can. The same thing is critically true here at Augusta. When they put the pins in certain positions, first of all, you can't get to them if you're in the wrong position off the tee. Mm-hmm. Second of all, if you are in the right position in the middle of the fairway, a lot of guys aren't aiming directly at the flag. They're aiming away from the flag because of the undulation in the greens that allows that ball to work into the position where you need it to be. And anytime you're underneath the hole here, putting a little uphill, you can definitely be more aggressive and able to hit the putt a little bit firmer so so that you can control the ball a little bit more on the greens. And then if you're putting downhill all day long, it's just you're leaving it up to chance and the texture of the green and the surfaces of the green to allow the ball to get close to going in the hole. So keeping the ball underneath the hole and also getting in the right position off the tee gets you a better line to the flags, the particular flags. Now, case in point, number 2. Okay, it's par 5, dog leg left, downhill. If the pin's over on the left-hand side and you don't feel you can get it back into that left corner with your second shot, then all the guys will play down the right-hand side, just short of the bunker up by the green, to be able to pitch it up the green and be able to control a little bit more. Now, if it gets way over to the left and you can't get it there, or way over to the right, in the right corner of the green, then guys will get it over to the left more. And then there's a big swale that you can run the ball and get it down close to the hole. So it's critical to be able to get it in the right position so you have the best opportunity to either get it up and down or score birdies or eagles or whatever.
All right, Bob, it is time for the Masters draft. We traditionally give you the first pick. What will you do with the first? Well, first off, are there any crazy rules we need to know about? Is anybody inventing anything right now?
Exactly right.
You can only pick one guy once. So if you take Scheffler, you can't use him for the other 3.
For the other 3 majors.
So you only pick one guy once totally, or only one guy once for the first pick?
No, totally.
Totally?
Yeah, totally.
So
Totally.
Okay, so if I pick Xander Schauffele, I can only have him for this one.
No, because you get Schauffele as the territorial assignment.
Oh, that's right.
Because of your San Diego connection. And BT told us you were going to take him, but you already got him. And we got to give DJ, he's got to get 4 picks because Tony isn't in the field.
Okay.
So you're free to
pick. All right. I'm going to take Cameron Young.
Bob, I swear to you, that was going to be my pick. I was listening to the Golf Channel this morning driving in, and they were pumping him up, and I'm thinking, that's my guy.
Cameron Young, just coming off the win at the Players.
That's funny.
But this golf course sets up for him because he's a long hitter, hits a high ball, and I think Cameron Young will have a great event this
That's
time.
exactly what they were talking about on the Golf Channel on the Sirius radio this morning.
Oh, that's funny. That's good.
I'll take Ludwig Oberg. He has had 2 good tournaments. He's finished 2nd. He's finished 7th. He's got a little more knowledge of the course now. He's been through it before. This is it. I'm gonna ride him like PK was on DJ forever and ever.
Okay.
I'm doing the same thing. I'm just going to keep picking Ludwig. Well, now I can only pick him once, but he doesn't do as well in the other majors. This is the one that he really seems to shine in.
Yep. He seems to shine in this one, huh? Okay. Oh man, I had Cameron Young in my heart, and now it's just been ripped. I was young at heart, and now it just got ripped from me.
I plucked him out of your heart.
You did. Okay. I'll go with Fitzpatrick then.
Natty Fitz, huh?
I got him once, maybe he can come back.
Okay. All righty. You know what? This guy's finished 5th and 6th the last 2 times he's played here, so I'm saying Bryson.
Yeah.
Oh, doggone it, Bob!
But now he can't use him for the other 3. This is a marathon. It's not a sprint.
I know. But that was still my pick. All right. I am going to go. I don't know. I should do him. I got to save him for another tournament. So we're never going to get a shot at Schauffele. He's going to have him all year long. He's had him for the last several years.
Who?
Do you have John Rahm?
I got
You have
Rahm,
John
and
Rahm,
you
don't
have Tony, but now Tony's not in the field this one, so you get an opportunity to get a fourth pick.
Okay. Let's go. It feels like a reach this early. This is a bad idea. I shouldn't do that. I gotta.
Come on. I'm getting old here.
All right, I'll go Tommy Fleetwood. Fine.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Fleetwood.
I thought I could get him in the next round though, but I'm getting rushed here, so we'll go with Tommy Fleetwood.
I'll go with Matsuyama.
That was the other guy I was thinking of. Yeah. Okay. Good call.
Okay. Let me see. I'm gonna go with a first timer.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say Chris Roderick.
All right, that's good. He's hot.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the first timer too. I'll let you know.
Okay, let's go with Siwoo Kim. Fine.
Siwoo Kim.
Is that Siwoo Kim fine or what? Who is it?
Funny man.
I'll take another first timer, Corey Connors.
Corey Connors. I like that.
And then
Bob, who'd you take in your third round, Bob?
He took Goddard.
I took Chris
Goddard. Goddard, yes, right. Okay.
Yeah.
So you get another pick since Fino's not in the field.
Now I get one more stab here. I get one more.
Well, why don't you go Koepka since you're buff now that you've lost the weight and Koepka's buff?
I was going to save him for another tournament because I don't think he does well.
Yeah, but you don't have to. He's your territorial pick. You're two buff guys.
Oh, he's my territorial pick?
Yeah.
All right, Brooks Koepka is my territorial pick. We'll do that. All right.
And PK, you have
there
Rahm for territorial pick?
Yeah, I got Rahm because he went to ASU.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay, there's our picks. We'll send them to you guys, and we'll see how this works out.
Okay. I like it.
Bob, thanks for joining us. We will talk to you again later this week.
Okay, buddy.
All right, thank you, Bob. All right, hey, it's time to qualify a golfer right now. Let's do it. Let's find out. Who will it be? Copper Rock Masters giveaway. Caller 12 right now, 801-575-ZONE. And you'll be assigned a player in the field at the Masters this week, top 25 and the field. If your golfer wins the Masters, you'll win 18 holes for two at Copper Rock Golf Course in Hurricane and a $100 gas gift card. It's brought to you by Copper Rock, where the pros play. Call right now, 801-575-ZONE, 801-575-9663. Coming up, Tim LaComb, Jazz analyst for SEG Media. The news about Rob Wright into the transfer portal. We'll get Tim's thoughts on that. Stay with us.
Just a bunch of guys sitting around and talking sports. This is Scotty G and Frank. Just a bunch of guys sitting around and talking sports. This is Scotty G and Friends.
Tony Jones from The Athletic. When you get blown out at home by a team that lost 16 in a row, I applaud that lack of effort. That was impressive by the Jazz.
The length that the Jazz are going to pull this off and to make sure that they keep that pick. I got to say, this is the best front office in the league at this point. I'm all in. Because they're going to keep their pick, all right? They're going to get a top 5 pick. Listen, you ready for me to get wild on here?
Let's go.
I'm going to get
Let's
wild on this show.
Let's do it.
If the Utah Jazz get A.J. DeVancer, they're winning an NBA championship within 3 years.
Lloyd, you rolling on that? Lloyd's got it.
Lloyd, you got that?
Wow.
Catch Scotty G and Friends weekdays from noon to 3 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Joining us now is Tim LaComb. Tim LaComb, good morning. How are you?
What's going on?
Yeah. Did you hear the news about Rob Wright?
I did hear the news about Rob Wright. It just came across. I crossed that this morning as I perused the news.
Yeah.
I am, shall I say, not surprised.
I'm just wondering. Go ahead. Yeah, finish your thought. No, you finish your thought.
No, I was just going to say quickly, I just after watching everything at Baylor last year, and that's the one thing everybody here was celebrating, the kid breaking a contract, being dishonest with the school there.
Mm-hmm.
And you just have to stick that away and go, well, is it going to happen here? And I don't know for sure, is this posturing, for more money? We don't know the full extent, but I will say that if it's true, I think it actually could be a good thing for BYU.
Rather than hit up on the individual thing, let's go big picture about BYU recruiting. For decades, they get BYU guys, and we know the LDS guy who wants to go to BYU. We understand that completely, but I don't think that it needs to be an LDS guy. We're bringing up like Jamal Williams. Jamal Williams, to me, seems like a BYU guy, right? He's around the football program. He bought a house in the area. He made a lot of money for playing professionally, right? So you got all that stuff going on there. With that in mind, just the recruiting strategy, they tell you, the church leadership says BYU is different. And we understand to a degree, certainly it is different, right? Lee Camard and Delaney Gibb going on national shows talking about no practice on Sunday and it's a day to reset. And that's great. No problem there. I'm just wondering, is it best to go after these guys that have no connection to BYU, knowing that outside of the money and the playing time, what is there that BYU holds for them? Should they reevaluate it or just keep shooting for the stars?
No, I like the fact that they're going out and getting guys that can really play, and the fact that with the new shift in the landscape, and BYU is technically in this new landscape a blue blood because every single really big name seems like BYU is somewhat attached to it. So I love the shoot for the stars mentality, but I think over time, I think you've got to develop some scrutiny in regard to motive, in regard to end game, in regard to, is this guy here just for a year to get as much money as he can and then go play the game somewhere else? And I think, one of the easier things always has been to determine somebody's athletic ability and skill level and that sort of thing. One of the harder, more difficult things is to read the heart and the mindset. And so, I think in Rob Wright's case, I think he checks all the boxes of a guy can really play. But I think they really missed on what his intentions and motives are. My understanding is he just went, everything was great. And then all of a sudden the money that he started to ask for got ridiculous. After kind of agreeing in terms, at some point along the way on where things were going to be. And so, again, this was all out on display, what he did last year at Baylor. And so, yeah, generally, I think you got to continue to shoot for the stars, but I think specifically you got to get better at reading intention and motive, which is really, really difficult.
Deion Sanders, famously at Colorado, didn't want to go out and do a bunch of recruiting, sit in a bunch of living rooms. And it seemed like the model was changing, and he was ahead of the curve. I've heard other coaches say recruiting has really changed. But what you're talking about, don't you have to go old school? And do you have time for that in the transfer portal? Or is that something you can only do when guys are younger?
I think it's something you've got to kind of keep a chart on. But, again, it's easy to fake who you are. Look around the world today. People are who they are, and they go outside and become somebody else for about 8 hours and go home. And so that is the more difficult thing.
Geez,
I think
thanks, Tim.
What's that?
Thanks, Tim.
Well, no, you see the news. You see the news. It's more often than not. So it's difficult to read heart. And that was so hard to put together championship teams. Back in the day, we had, different types of options, but for us, one of the big differentiators was, did they win? Did they win a state title?
Yeah.
It's not hard to talk to a coach and find out, they look you in the eye when you talk to them. They dismiss you. Do they build their teammates up or tear them down? It's all stuff you can see, but sometimes the glamour of what they can do on the court supersedes, and you think, oh man, I can make them a better this or that. And that's really, it's easier to change a guy's ability to shoot free throws than it is how they treat people.
Yeah, I can tell you, my wife told my mother-in-law, don't worry, I can change him. And it turns out my mother-in-law was right.
Were you a bad free throw shooter?
No, it's just that.
You're talking about the person part. Okay.
No, I was not going to pass the ball. That's the thing.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
Selfish. It's very selfish.
Mm-hmm. It was me, myself, and, that's what as long as I got mine, I didn't really care if you got yours. And it hasn't changed a whole lot for that matter. So.
Well, I've experienced a completely different PK. I know you like to put this hard edge exterior, but, those late night check-ins have meant a lot, buddy.
Jeez. You're the second guy who's basically told me that in a week.
No, I appreciate you. I know you have a mantra, both of you guys, but two of the best dudes I've met since I got out of coaching, I really got to know.
So with that in mind, if he leaves, then you just go in the transfer portal because they've got to field a competitive team, right? Kevin Young came in, and I appreciated that opening press conference. DJ was sitting right to my left, and we were there. And you were there, too, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah. I actually ended up talking to your wife way more than I talked to you at that one.
She's way more interesting.
Yeah. It's the first time I had a real in-depth conversation with her. And, a lot of high rollers were there, and Danny was there, and blah, blah, blah. And Kevin is out there. I don't want to say saying bombastic things because he was setting the standard. And I remember Dave Rose at his opening press conference years ago. I was there, obviously. I was a beat writer at the time, saying, Final Four is the goal. And I got no problem with that being the goal. It should be the goal, of course. And with that in mind, if Wright does leave, then you're going to have to go back into the portal probably, and then you end up doing as Duke, the bluest of the blue bloods, basically. And you look at Michigan, this year 5 transfers, right? And I'm concerned is once you put your toe in there, before you know it, you got your whole body in there, and you got to do it year after year. And is that right for BYU? If they win, yeah, sure, it is. I get it.
Yeah, it is. It's part of kind of the necessary evil, and you got to have boots on the ground for situations like this, and they do. I think Justin Young, Kevin Young's brother, who's on staff, is the personnel. Basically the recruiting coordinator. I would say that he is as good at recognizing guys that can play, and has been in the game a long time, just not college, but in other facets. So I think that will be the next step now to replace Rob. And I think as they do that, I found it very difficult to watch Rob Wright play basketball. And I know he made shots and all that, but the air of, I'm going to do this and you're going to watch over and over and over again when, I even tweeted about it sometimes, play 38 minutes and have no assists.
Yeah, that happened. Guard. That literally happened.
Stuff. No, it happened. And then, sometimes you'd let it off the hook and you get 2 or 3. But it was not conducive to winning big. And I think, you look at the Jazz this year, they will, in a down year, but a culture piece that I think has been important. They're going to have more assists than any Jazz team in history. And Coach Hardy's thing, play hard and pass. And they've been at a disadvantage for a myriad of reasons. But the bottom line is the one area that is really important to winning is being able to trust each other. And I think assists are a part of that. And, BYU down the stretch, to me, it was a Rob Wright, and I got no issue with A.J. Devonce having the ball in his hands, but it was there was a reason other guys weren't making shots because they weren't getting any.
If they got to go in and replace Rob Wright, do you think they need to replace with a bigger player? One thing we're seeing with the Jazz is they build this roster, and we know that there are people who have influence at both places. Similar thinking, you want to be a bigger team, and the Jazz are lined up with 3 7-footers plus Ace Bailey, and if they're lucky enough to draft Devonce, they will be big at every position on the floor. It seems like. It'll just be a gigantic team, and if you've ever been in a basketball game playing against guys who are 3 to 6 inches taller than you, it gets pretty difficult pretty quickly. Is that a direction they ought to go?
Well, positional size kind of fits hand in hand with, positionless basketball. I think the ability to, like you talked about the Jazz, and in any game next year that they choose, I mean, most of the time they're going to be bigger and more skilled in that position. You look at a Jaren Jackson, Lowry Markkanen, Ace Bailey. They're, most nights they're going to have an advantage, and so inherently the Jazz can literally just play through those guys and beg the other team to bring a second defender, and you're off to the races. So that's one of the best ways to do that. And yeah, I think if you're going out to look, you certainly are looking for the best fit. But in today's game, positional size, if you could go find a guy like Wagler at Illinois, put a 6'6" point guard out there on the floor, you're definitely changing things. So BYU will be, they'll be on it. But at the end of the day, make no mistake, this was all 100% about money.
Yeah, I know it's easy to criticize, but if you're going to get more money and you have no connection to BYU outside of money and playing time, go.
Yeah, no, I'm with you in this day and age, but know what you got, right? Know your hand.
Well, if somebody's willing to pay it, then that's your hand. And BYU was willing to pay it last year.
I'm talking more on the BYU angle. Right. I think you got to play the game. And there's no, to me, I think this is actually a positive thing in the long run. It'll be painful in short term. But I think BYU has a better chance bringing a new team in next year and not have to basically defer to what Rob does out on the court.
Yeah, I think we got your thoughts on him and the way he played, and we appreciate you saying them.
Add more size, be a better defender, and be willing to pass the ball. There's some boxes that need to be checked.
Correct.
All right. Tim, we'll leave it right there for now. We appreciate it. We talk to you every week right here on The Zone, and have a good week. We'll talk to you again.
Are you guys on the moon?
Just me.
Did you go with Artemis, or because it sounds weird today, but
it's just me. There's technical gremlins I don't understand, but
okay. But you are on this planet, right?
I am.
You're not making a re-entry with Artemis. Okay, just making sure.
Well, he may be on the moon, but I'm on Uranus.
I always thought you were my Venus.
I'm your fire at your desire.
I knew you'd go there. Goodbye.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for that, Tim. Ben Jacobson, Utah State men's basketball coach. The new guy in Logan is going to join us at 9 o'clock. Stay with us, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. It's a Win Tickets Wednesday. Caller 12 right now, 801-575-ZONE. Wins a pair of tickets to see Weezer, The Gathering, with special guests, the Shins and Silver Sun Pickups at the Maverick Center, September 15th. DJ and PK, we're going to talk with the new Utah State basketball coach. Ben Jacobson's going to join us in our next segment. We just talked to Tim LaComb. And the question of the morning, PK, what is the recruiting strategy going forward for BYU? How much should they be worried about continuity? How much do the one-and-done guys help? Is it a case of, well, some one-and-done guys, but not everybody? What should the Cougars do going forward? I think there's multiple layers to this conversation, but the first one starts, if you got a BYU guy, try to hold on to him.
And I think you stand a better chance. You stand a better chance of doing that. I understand that. But, he being Kevin Young is trying to get the most talent, essentially, that are going to keep the BYU rules as much as he can. And he wants to win at the highest level. I appreciate that from him. And I think there are guys out there, but it's a complex problem because BYU is not the only one facing this. Obviously, it's just that
no, absolutely not.
They are different, and you would think that I'm not going to go to the school because of anything but money in basketball, right? And you look at Delaney Gibb, the women's player, and she's the best player on the team, right? And so she was on some, we were talking about it yesterday, Fox and Friends, I don't know, it's some morning show or some national show, and she's talking about, that's what makes me want to come to BYU because of the no Sunday play and the opportunity to reset that day. And that doesn't even have to be on a religious aspect. For her, it is a religious aspect. Majerus and I always agreed with him. He was always against playing on Sundays because he was saying that was the one day a week that the, quote, student athlete could be a student, didn't have to be an athlete. Well, then they changed that, and they were playing on Sundays, right? I covered games on Sundays for the Utes. And so you go to BYU, and that means something to her. And I assume that meant something to Saunders and so forth. And if that doesn't mean anything to you and you're just there for the money and the opportunity to be developed by a former NBA coach, then it just seems to me that you'd be more willing to leave. There wouldn't be that emotional pull. It's just a transactional thing. And is that what BYU wants to do? If they can do that and be successful, a la Michigan, which had 5 transfers this year, and they won the whole thing, then go ahead, have at it. That's great. I'm just not sure that's in BYU's best interest that they can do that year after year, because once you go down that path, I don't know that there's ever turning back. Now, they're probably going to have to go in the portal this year to get a point guard. And do we say this next year? Kevin Young has had 3 point guards, basically, Hall, Yegor, and Wright, and all of them just stayed one season.
Continuity matters. I've thought that for a long time. It seems to matter less now. I think it still matters. I think one of the things you're going in the portal every year, are you going in the portal every year and are you getting a freshman or a sophomore, or are you going in the portal every year and trying to get juniors and seniors? I mean, if you have outstanding talent, the younger guy can make a difference. But if not, get your team a little older. Get somebody who's been through the tournament before. And also, they're in the Big 12 now. Guys who maybe were a good fit for the BYU basketball program 10 or 20 years ago aren't necessarily a good fit now. So do you have to let some of those high school prospects, you recruit them and you talk to them and you say, hey, go to this school, go to that school, kind of the old, the way Dave Rose used to have D1 prospects parked on his JC roster when he was at Dixie. Do you do something like that and then you try to bring guys home, sophomore, junior, senior, depending on how they develop and how they progress? And is that an area to look into?
I think all areas.
Where are you going to find the talent that's good enough?
Yeah, I think all areas you look into. And whichever way you can build your team, you build it.
All right, DJ and PK, we'll take a break. Speaking of guys who have to build a team and put it together again, Ben Jacobson joins us next, the new basketball coach at Utah State. Stay with us.
Mom, can you tell me a story?
Sure. Once upon a time, a mom needed a new car.
Was she brave?
She was tired, mostly. But she went to Carvana.com and found a great car at a great price. No secret treasure map required.
Did you have to fight a dragon?
Nope. She bought it 100% online. From her bed, actually.
Was it scary?
Honey, it was as unscary as car buying could be.
Did the car have a sunroof?
It did, actually.
Okay, good story.
Car buying you'll want to tell stories about. Buy your car today on
Carvana.
Delivery fees may apply.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Just top.
DJ and PK, we are joined now by Ben Jacobson, the new basketball coach at Utah State. Coach, good morning.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having us on, guys.
Well, thanks for coming on. I guess the first question for you is, as a guy who'd spent about a quarter of a century at Northern Iowa, how hard was it to leave? Were you thinking maybe it was time to move on and the Utah State opportunity came out? How did all that play out, and how hard was it to pick up and go?
Yeah, it was hard in some ways, but most of those being personal and in terms of my family. My wife and I have got 2 boys, but they're in college now. Hunter just finished at Northern Iowa and is going to student teach in the fall, and our son Tanner's over at University of Nebraska. And so they're 20 and 22 now and older. And then I've got my family back home in North Dakota, and obviously close enough with them. So most of it on that side. And I say that, Northern Iowa is a wonderful place, and we able to do some terrific things over the years with our basketball program, and we've got great friends there. So we're going to miss that part of it. But, the last 2 years for us, guys at Northern Iowa, we were 20 wins, NIT, 23 wins, NCAA tournament, had a group of guys that stuck together, and that part I feel really, really good about. And then the excitement of this opportunity has been the thing that just keeps, hitting me in the forehead. I've been here for about 10 days now, and I just can't get over the energy around town and the energy on campus, is the conversations I'm having with our players, the conversations I'm having with Cam, our athletic director, and his staff, and the support from our president. So, man, the excitement is just terrific right now for me.
Coach, we've been doing this show for almost 25 years. It's called DJ and PK, and I'm the PK portion of it. And here's the secret and the key. If you want to get Utah State to the Sweet 16, you coached in the Sweet 16 once, and PK, was there. So when you get to the tournament, make sure I'm there, because I was covering Jimmer Fredette and BYU in Oklahoma City and was sitting courtside when you upset Kansas. Well, I think it was in 2010. So that's the difference there. Remember that when you get to the postseason. Tell your AD and Doug Hoffman and those guys, just make sure I'm there, because when you got to the Sweet 16, I was stunned just as much as everybody was in that, I think it was called the Ford Center at the time in Oklahoma City. I'm not sure what it's called now, but yeah, that was a wild experience to see. And the kid with the big long last name is coaching at Colorado State now. I enjoyed that very much, and I've been following you since then because I was watching that and knowing that you've had success, and was very impressed that Utah State was able to get a guy of your caliber, because you've been around the block a time or two. With that in mind, that walk around that block has changed so dramatically since 2010 versus to what we have now. And you had to, one of your first moves, I'm sure, was to meet with the players and, in a sense, re-recruit guys to get guys to stay. And you got two guys, Falslev and Templin, the big-time players for the program. We've watched them, and Falslev we saw in high school. How did you approach that in getting them, and they had to make the decision, obviously, to stay, because I think that was the first most important thing, and you scored a bucket or two on that one.
Yeah, and it was, and that's, I talked about it in my press conference, and made sure that our players on this team, understood that without any question, they are the priority. We've approached it that way. I've approached it that way as a head coach. Our current players, and now with the portal and the NIL, retention of roster has been our top priority. And so you start by sitting down, and all of the guys that are in town, we're immediately in the office, the afternoon of the press conference, and just start having conversations with them. And you've got to get to know each other on short notice. But man, have I been impressed with each of the guys that I've met with. And you talked about Mason, and you talked about Carson, and I mean, there isn't a better place to start. You got Player of the Year, and you got Sixth Man of the Year. But the thing, and I know our fans understand this, but you talk about two terrific young men, and having the opportunity to have a number of extended conversations with them. Even though I've known them for 10 days, they are easy to see, why they love this place and why Aggie Nation, loves those two guys. And then, we've got two of our young guys that redshirted, Braden Bowe and Kingston Tosi. Both of those guys have re-signed and are coming back as well. So a great start. We've got a couple more guys in the current roster that we're still talking with as well. So yeah, that piece is the most important. It's our priority right now. It's going to be our priority when we get to this time next year, and that's the retention of our roster. And in talking to the guys, they feel I've used the word energy a lot yesterday and today, but they feel it and have been much longer than I have. Whether that's in the spectrum, it's around the community. The way this community embraces our athletic department, our university, and our basketball program is second to none. and those guys really appreciate it, and they're thrilled to be back.
I'm really intrigued by what you think of scheduling. I know this is going to be influenced by going into the Pac. I don't know what it's Pac 9, whatever it's going to be. I don't know what they're going to. The rebuilt Pacific Conference. But as far as non-conference, and Jared Calhoun came on our show multiple times, and he was really upfront about the fundraising he had to do to get NIL. The Players Era Festival in Las Vegas is expanding. Aggie fans travel. I know the Big 12's got like a quarter of that 32-team field locked up. But as far as the rest of it, is there a chance to get in there? How do you want to schedule? What are you pursuing?
Yeah, that's one that we would love to be in, and we'll have those conversations. And then in total, with 16 non-conference games right now. We're looking at anywhere from depending on what the games are, anywhere from 6 to 7 up to 8 or 9 of those quad 1. Hopefully most of them are quad 1, but quad 1, a couple quad 2s. But I've always felt that getting as much of that done in the non-conference as we possibly can is so important. Right? So the opportunity to put yourself in position for an at-large bid, if things are going great and you've got that kind of schedule, with us now moving into the new Pac-12 and what that league is going to look like and the opportunities there to continue to increase, the metrics, and the numbers. So if you are in position to get an at-large bid, you need to be, and the best way to do that, of course, is through your non-conference schedule. And then if you're winning those games, now you're talking about seeding. So, yeah, we're going to work hard to have a non-conference schedule that is going to impact our numbers, our metrics, and if we're doing what we know we're capable of, then you're talking about seeding. Okay? And I know that was a big deal this year, right? Our team got a 9 seed this year, and I've talked with the guys about it, and it feels like a 7 seed was more fitting of our basketball team this past year. So doing everything we can in the non-conference, that if we do it right and we're in the top couple, or we have the kind of year where we win the Pac-12, that now you're talking about a 4, 5, 6 seed instead of an 8 or 9 seed. So that non-conference schedule is one that we're gonna work hard at.
So, Coach, I grew up in Arizona, right? And at the time when I was growing up, there were 3 Division I programs. You had NAU, ASU, and the U of A down in Tucson. Since Grand Canyon has elevated its program, it's that, right? So you got 4 with a state of about double the size, at least, of Utah. You go into Utah, the sports crazy state that we are. You got 2 down in southern Utah. You got 2 in Utah County. You got Salt Lake. You got Weber. You got Logan. I mean, there's basketball programs all over this state. And if I look at, and I'm going to say, well, what is the ideal college town in the state? I'm probably going to go north to Logan. Have been up there many times over the years, as we all have in the media. And so it is a little bit of a peculiar area. And I'm wondering how you're going to go about ingratiating yourself into what this state is about, because it is sports crazy, but it's a little bit different from some of the other states that surround us.
Yeah, in terms of my approach, our approach as a staff, similar to what I've always done. I worked for Rich Glass at the University of North Dakota, who I also played for. I worked for Greg McDermott at the University of Northern Iowa. And everything about them was about the relationships, with the players, the relationships with the staff, with the other head coaches and their staffs, the relationships on campus, and the relationships out in the community. And the way you do that is being there, and you got to show up for people. And so we're going to do that every which way we can, and getting out and in terms of meeting people. But you got to follow those up, and you got to be there for people. So that piece of it I'm really looking forward to. And I haven't been on all of the other campuses that you mentioned, but I think you're right when you say right now I am sitting in the one that I think a lot of people consider to be the college basketball town of our state. So, and I know the other ones are great. Where BYU is, and Utah, of course, and the others. But man, I'm excited about the place I'm sitting right now.
Ben Jacobson joining us, new Utah State basketball coach. What's your philosophy on putting together a team in this era? There are some schools that are still really invested in high school kids. There are others that are get old, stay old. And I'm curious about how you feel about how long you want kids in your program, 1, 2, 3, 4 years, whatever that is, and how you plan to go about building this team.
Yeah, it's recruiting high school players, and we're gonna do everything we can and work very hard so that the high school players in the state of Utah, that this is a great option for them. So that's where we'll start. It's something we've been doing for a long time, and then when our season gets done, the priority, as I talked about early on here, the priority is the retention of our players. And then we will go into the portal to fill a specific need. And with the philosophy, the intent that we're going to have players in our program for 4 years and 5 years if they would redshirt. That's going to be the way that people see Aggie basketball. As a guy like Mason, who's going to be here for his entire career. Just finishing up at Northern Iowa with a point guard named Trey Campbell. That was a 4-year starter for us. And the year before that, one of the best players in our league at the time, our league, the Missouri Valley Conference, named Titan Anderson, and he was a 5-year guy for us. So Titan Anderson 2 years ago, Trey Campbell this past year, and now Mason here at Utah State. So that is we're going to approach it that way, and we're going to work very hard to have guys that stay with us and have their entire career here. And I understand the difficulties of it, and the challenges of it, but we're going to work hard to do that through recruiting high school players, retention of our own guys being our top priority, to have guys around here for 4 and 5 years.
We know that money available for players is a big thing, and you need it, obviously, to win. I'm wondering how much, certainly I would think you would investigate what Utah State has available financially, and what's your level of satisfaction with whatever that number is.
Yeah, we talked extensively about that in the couple of days when we were getting to know each other, and I feel great about what our athletic director, Cam Walker, is doing and his vision and his plan. I feel great about the support of our president, the alignment there, and that's really the key is the support from the president, from our athletic director, and that they're aligned and they are. So, man, I feel great about it. Where it's at and the approach that we are taking. I do. I feel great about it. And one of the 2 or 3, main reasons why I feel so good about being here right now is the leadership on campus with our president and with our athletic director.
How much did you know about Utah State or talk about it with the coaching friends? And I'm curious in coaching circles what the rep was for a place that seems to continually produce NCAA tournament teams even while having, even by coaching standards, a staggering amount of turnover.
Yeah, we played here once when I was at Northern Iowa. When Craig Smith was coaching, Sam Merrill and the big fella, Kada. So we were out here once and played. So, just walking in for shoot around, and then obviously walking in for the game, and just seeing the Estes Center, and at that time, obviously, you're thinking about your team and you're getting prepared, and so having been here once, but more so, Craig Smith and I have known each other for a long time, and just seeing him and talking to him about his time here on that level, and then just watching Utah State play. I'd watched them a little bit before Craig got the job, and I've watched them more since because Craig and I, like I said, have had a great relationship for a long time. So I've watched them play. And then we can all see the success, and we can all see the numbers in terms of the NCAA tournaments, and the tradition and the history going all the way back to Coach Morrill, and had an opportunity to talk with him the other day, and that was really fun for me to be able to do that. So, all of the tradition and history and success in a basketball program is extremely exciting, appealing, when you're going through the process. But being able to talk to people that have coached here, people that have played here, and now talking with our players, they're like, Coach, they're just like, I'm telling you, you can't wait to have you in there for our first game in the Spectrum. They're like, they say, Coach, it's crazy in there. The herd is second to none, and the atmosphere in the building is as good as it gets in the country. So, all of those things are well in place and well established.
Do you have any locals on your staff?
Working through that right now. The staff is not complete. Working with a couple of my assistants from Northern Iowa, and then have been talking with some assistant coaches that are tied to this region, but nothing is final yet.
Do you expect players from Northern Iowa to follow you?
There could be some of that. Yeah. With the portal opening yesterday, and some of those wheels start turning now that the portal's open. So, there could be some of that.
Yeah, how do you go about that? Obviously you got a relationship with those guys. We understand that. But that portal, and you literally have thousands of kids, how do you narrow it down based on who you know versus what you need and all that stuff? Because that seems so overwhelming to me.
Yeah, there is. There's a lot there, and you can certainly get, get lost in the just the sheer number of players. So our approach has been, and it's going to be the same here. It's the same right now. We've got a good idea of what we need from a roster standpoint, right? So you lock in there and try not to get distracted by all of the other positions that aren't a need for you. So you lock in position wise, and then you find the guys that you know a little bit about, or people reaching out to you and let you know what they've got at those certain positions and talk through that a little bit. The thing that we found and had success with is players that we've recruited the first time around, that have gone elsewhere, so you've got a relationship with them. Older guys that have got 1 or 2 years left. And then for us, very important, the same approach we take with our high school players, we take with the portal, in terms of good young guys and great families and, the high competitive spirit, high care factor. Like we aren't looking for something different in terms of what a young guy is made of when we're in the portal. We're looking for those same things. And then, production is something that's been important to us. And, I've learned over the last 3 years, when you're looking at guys is, so a combination of those things, but getting pretty specific, because otherwise you can get lost with the number of guys that are in there.
Yeah.
Well, Coach, we appreciate a few minutes. We know you're juggling a lot of things right now. You got a lot of balls in the air. So thanks for taking a few minutes to talk with us and with the Aggie fans listening. We're all intrigued to see how it goes. Thanks for joining us, and good luck.
Okay, thanks a lot, guys.
There's the head coach at Utah State, Ben Jacobson, settling in after a long run at Northern Iowa. But you don't really get that much time to settle in. Put together a staff, put together a schedule, hit that transfer portal. Let's go.
Yeah, that's the reality of it, man. You have got to hit the ground running. There is no, I'll ease into this thing now the way everything is set up.
Right. Yeah. All right, DJ and PK, when we come back, everything you missed in this show. Talk about Rob Wright into the portal, leaving BYU, the Masters. We had Bob Casper on. It's all coming up next. Stay with us.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
You have the box score in front of you?
I do.
How many minutes did Kyle Filipowski play?
Phil played 24 minutes.
How many minutes did James Harden play?
39 minutes.
It's not a good sign. You're in Salt Lake City. The Jazz are not trying to win. That's exactly why the Jazz made the trade they did. The Donovan Mitchell trade of knowing you're only going to last so long in the playoffs. You just didn't know how far it was going to take you, but you knew it was not going to take you to a championship, which Jazz fans will remember. And it's actually a type of pain that when you're not experiencing it, you might forget about it. But it's this is not going to end the way you want it too, but I guess you'll just watch the playoffs as long as they last. And they said, we want to actually raise the ceiling to a point where maybe there's a championship, and the pain to get there is going to be significant, and that's what these 4 years have been, and it is.
I was always in the camp of you either do it or don't. And they went into the rebuild, which I think will eventually pay off.
Catch Jake and Ben weekdays from 10 to noon on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Because Progressive offers discounts for paying in full, owning a home, and more. Plus, you can count on their great customer service to help you when you need it, so your dollar goes a long way. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save on car insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Just top.
Derek Overstreet, founder of the New Millennium Group. We're a financial planning firm. We have advisors standing by right now to take your call. 888-999-6370. The reason you're going to want to call is we're going to help you retire 3 to 5 years before you thought possible. The way we do this is by putting together a step-by-step plan. So if you're one of those people listening and you'd like a plan in writing, give us a call at 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370, or go to utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Slacker Root headlines brought to you by Trajan Wealth. Call Trajan Wealth today, your local trusted financial fiduciary. Call them at 801-210-6800 or visit their website at TrajanWealth.com. PK, we just heard the update. That's your guy right there. You know him, you love him, you can't live without him, even if you have to next year when they make massive roster changes. Kennedy Chandler goes for 31 points. Somehow the Jazz give up 95 points and a half. Mbeng plays every minute of the game. My gosh, that was some crazy, wacky basketball. But the mission is lose and improve the draft odds as much as possible. So mission accomplished, even if it was 156 to 137, and you thought you were watching an all-star game at times.
No, actually what I thought I was watching was those open practices that they have the day before your first game in the NCAA tournament, where it's just a bunch of layups one after another. I mean, I thought it was like, was Iowa girls basketball? Didn't they used to have like 3 or 4 girls would stay on one side of the court and the others would stay on the defensive and vice versa? Because I'm not sure that the Jazz were interested in having guys get back. I mean, it was one layup after another. I literally thought it was a layup. I thought for a second there I was watching the Washington Generals, and I was laughing. It was entertaining. And the schedule, Will Hardy saying the schedule caught up to him. Yeah, they had to play a team that had lost 8 in a row.
He's got to say something.
I know he does.
I think the guys are fighting hard, but I think a lot of the schedule and the fatigue caught up with us.
Yeah, the schedule caught up to them, man. They played a team that they'd only lost 8 in a row. It's not like they'd lost 20 in a row. All you can do in tragic times like this is laugh.
I agree.
But the good thing is
they have a chance here to move.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Now, next year,
they have a chance to.
We're going to laugh for good reasons.
Oh, you'd like to think so.
Oh, I believe so.
I think so.
I believe so, man.
Their odds, this last little bit of tanking here can possibly move their odds from 42% chance of landing in the top 4 to 48 to 52 if they have one of the 3 worst records. 48 if they have one of the 4 worst records. They're already guaranteed having a 42% chance of being in the top 4.
That seems kind of negligible to me. But I understand you only have 2 more games. Go ahead and do it. When you're now sitting Ace Bailey, he's the last of the youngsters that you're sitting. We finally got to that point. Ace Bailey has arrived. He is now being held out of games.
Congratulations, you made it.
Yes. What took so long, man? You finally got there.
You guys are high five.
The last one, and not the last one standing, the last one sitting. So
it's the Grizzlies Friday and then at the Lakers Sunday. And, of course, now it looks like the Lakers could be missing all of their big three. LeBron didn't want any part of going out there and playing Oklahoma City. Like, well, we're going to go out there and get drilled. What are we doing that for? That didn't make any sense. Never mind.
Yeah. I think the Lakers are locked into 4, and we'll see if they play OKC in the second round. But if they don't have their guys, I mean, come on. LeBron could be the greatest player ever by 20 miles, but if the other two aren't there, what do you think is going to happen? We know what's going to happen. So there you go on that. I get it. I'm looking forward to that Titanic matchup on Sunday, right? I'm going to watch the Masters. This Sunday's going to be a perfect day for me, man. I'm going to watch the Masters, and then I'm going to go right in to watching the matchup that I've dreamed of, Bronny versus Kennedy Chandler or Chandler Kennedy, whichever it is. That's what's going to be. I can remember years ago, I took my kid, and we were down for Arizona for Christmas, and bought the tickets to the Cardinals and the Cowboys last game of the season, right? And I'm trying to build a relationship with the kid and all that stuff. So I go all out, and both teams played third-string quarterbacks.
Great.
It was a meaningless last game of the season. What I did see, the only thing I remember from that game is walking out on the concourse, a fight between drunk Cowboy fans and drunk Cardinal fans.
Excellent. Spectacular.
And, of course, I was right in the middle of it, but I'm not going to say whether I was a Cardinal fan or a Cowboy fan.
Nah, a kid. You just want to go in there and throw some punches.
Yeah, I wanted to be like the Braves and the Angels last night.
That was something special. That was so weird. I've seen a lot of batters charge the mound over the year. I don't think I've ever seen anyone ponder it so long. Maybe I should go, maybe not. Just kind of standing there, and the ball hits the backside. It's so wild. The ball comes back to the catcher off the wall. One hop, maybe. I mean, it got back to him just boom, that. And the throw down to second. No charge in that. We'll just let the play go. And then a little more thinking about it. And then, all right, I'll go.
Well, they did some staring, some mano-a-mano, the machismo getting in there. And, you deliberate, you think about it. And you should give him credit for thinking about it. But Soler charges the mound, throws a big roundhouse. And then, what was the other guy's name? Lopez? He throws what is now, looking on social media, being recognized as the baseball punch because he's got the baseball in his hand because it wasn't normally you throw, like when Bryce Harper went after that, what was that guy's name? I can't remember, for the Giants a few years back. It was on Memorial Day. It's a pitch up and in, whatnot, and it's so nobody has the ball because it's either the catcher has it or it's gone back to the backstop, right? Well, Lopez has the ball because they throw down a second, player save, he gets the ball back, and as you say, it took time. So he's got the ball, and there's camera angles a little bit different. I saw this morning. He literally goes for a punch with the baseball in his hand. That's like having nunchucks or something, as far as that goes.
Well, he literally never let go of the ball the entire time either.
That was as good a little bit of a brawl. Who was the guy, I can see his name, for Bautista versus Odor with Toronto and the Rangers? Remember that at second base? And Odor, a little dude, just gets him right in the chin, Bautista. And then he said that, he didn't knock me down. And then there was one I remember, Jose Ramirez versus Tim Anderson. And Anderson gets in a little boxing stance, and Ramirez just drops him. He gets in a boxing stance like Jordan Clarkson used to do, like you have some training in there. And Ramirez just goes right at him, gets him right in the jaw, and drops him. That was funny.
I did think the other guys who charged into that, it didn't turn out there. I thought a lot of punches got thrown there. It seemed like most guys, as Pete said, but I think two guys are going to get suspended for a long time. Lopez, that was something. There's some real energy in that.
Yeah, the thing about that, if you suspend a pitcher for 5 games, what does that mean?
One start.
He's not.
Right?
Well, yeah,
So
he's not pitching every game anyway.
8 games. Right. Yeah. Hit him with 8 games, so he misses 2 starts. Or try to do the math on that. The math was hard with the Utah Mammoth. Every time you thought you had it figured out, there was another goal. 3-1 after 1 period, 4-4 after 2, 5-5 after 3. They went back and forth. Edmonton led 3-1, 4-3, 5-4, and the Mammoth just kept fighting back. The shorthanded goal at the end of the second period had the crowd in a frenzy. My gosh, the ESPN. I don't know who's been more amazed. ESPN announcers coming in to call a Mammoth game, or the CBS announcers coming in to call a Utah State Aggie game. Just on and on about the crowd and the energy level. And
well, I mean, they're comparing it to Arizona, though,
and
of when they were calling games for the Coyotes, and so it's such a different thing. And that was a beautiful puck game, and it's probably as good as a regular season game that you're going to find. And the thing that I like about it, it's memorable because of the skill level. That's the one thing I don't like with hockey. I don't want games to be memorable because of fighting. That seems sort of unbecoming. I want the sport to be known of these high flyers on ice doing their thing with these nifty passes and the shots that, you talk about the exit velo off the bat, the amount of velocity they can get on those shots. And they were talking about how McDavid, they've got these ways of measure. He's gotten faster as he's gotten older. And that was sort of interesting. The one thing that did baffle me is they were pronouncing the Bears' name differently than the way we've been saying it for these last 2 years. It was like a tourney versus Torney. So I'm wondering, is this a Yegor Dielman where we've been pronouncing his name wrong and nobody bothered to correct us because they said it differently?
Wouldn't be the first time. Wouldn't be the last time. Wouldn't shock me. I'm with you on the skill level thing. I thought that shorthanded goal at the end of the second period. It's not that there wasn't any energy in the building, but it just felt like everything was ricocheting around. It's a great pass. Everyone could see the moment coming and, the play developing and all that. But even though it was the other team, and, man, there were a lot of Edmonton fans there, you could hear the cheer
front runners
on TV after Edmonton scored to go up 5-4. That was a great pass to set that up and a really fortunate rebound. I mean, you get your shot saved, but it comes right back to you. It was just a perfect rebound. So good game, and we'll see if we get that matchup in the playoffs, and maybe we can get 6 or 7 of those, because that was wildly entertaining.
It was, yeah.
And the big news of the morning in the college basketball front, Rob Wright into the NCAA Transfer Portal. All Big 12, third team, 18 points a game. Seems like he's gone, so the link between this year's team and next year's team will be tenuous at best, PK, with none of the top three, with K, top 4 players returning. There's just going to be a ton of turnover. It's going to be a whole new look.
I think it was probably going to be that way anyway, but certainly it is exasperated by Wright. And this is the second time he's putting in his transfer requests and all that stuff going into the portal. So for all you headline writers, when it comes to him leaving, this is simply the right way.
Nice. Thank you. Good work. Bravo.
You can't take you can take the old newspaper desk guy off the desk, but you can't take the desk off the newspaper guy or something like that.
Tim LaComb joined us earlier, former BYU assistant coach, does the Jazz pre-half and post right now. We talked with him at length about strategy and how BYU can handle this going forward, and how much benefit are they getting from the one-and-done guys, whether they're off to the NBA draft, and we've seen a couple of those guys, whether they're off to the transfer portal. Some of the guys who come in as transfers stay and use up their eligibility, as we saw with Keba Keita. So how do you negotiate all of that? We talked with Tim LaComb about that. Get that wherever you get your podcasts. You can go to YouTube, KSLSports.com. You can go to Apple, Spotify, wherever you can find that conversation for more on BYU and Rob Wright. All right, DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Your feedback's coming up next. Stay with us. Join Scotty G Friday noon to 3, Tim Dolly Mazda, 10785 South Auto Mall Drive in Sandy. DJ and PK, it is time for your feedback. What do you have to say about today's show? So many of you have things to say about that Jazz loss. 156 to 137. What positives did you take away? Chris, well, 137 points for a team that's not trying. That's pretty good. Then we got Ken, heavy on the sarcasm. Well, at least they held him under 200. What kind of left would that take to get to 200? David says the lesson here is the season is almost over and this agony can go away.
Yeah.
Joshua's a little more upbeat. 1 game away from the Nets in third place. Nets play the Pacers next. Jazz could potentially be tied for the third worst record before it's all over with. He wants better odds.
Yeah, I do too.
Dan says go Mammoth. That's what he says. Go Mammoth.
Okay. I mean,
Rob Wright's in the transfer portal. Yeah, they are. Rob Wright's in the transfer portal. Should BYU open the bank to retain him? Josh says no. BYU can find someone to miss layups for free. Sarcasm alert.
That's my fault.
Brian says yes, he is not perfect, and I have been critical, but he is quite good, so pay him. Well, Brian is like, well, if you're not going to get outbid and it's not my money, what the heck?
I also think that you could stand to reason that he would be better next year too.
You'd like to think, right? The juniors should be showing improvement.
Kids get better.
Brian's having none of it. Don't let the door hit you on the way out, Rob.
Yeah, that was a familiar phrase that my mother would say often if I didn't like what she was eating or making or anything, any complaint, she would respond with, don't let the door hit you, and she would name a body part on the way out.
We do have people weighing in on the Mammoth who are winning. If the Mammoth Oilers game is a sign of things to come, how awesome will the playoffs be? And Tony says the atmosphere is awesome. Tony's loving it.
Yeah, that's where I go with Ryan Smith talking about this community in terms of we show up for big events, and that's a fact. He's said that multiple times, and he is dead on.
Michael, the boys can score. Yeah, you know, it's weird how late in the season everything's turned on its head, and it's 82 games, so I guess you're going to see a little bit of everything over the course of the year, but they've really been middle of the pack as far as scoring, but they've been elite defensively, 5th fewest goals allowed in the league, I think, last time I looked, which was a couple days ago, but now they've given up. They've played games that have gone 7-4 and 6-5. And you go back, look at the scores early in the year. There were so many 3-2 and 2-1 games. It's just like everything was tense. Everything was tight. It was a struggle for them to score, but they could stop anybody from scoring. And these last few games, it's everything's turned on its ear.
Yeah, it's a hit parade.
Yeah, exactly. Well, scoring goals is contagious, like hitting, right?
I believe it is, yeah. And I don't know as much about hockey as I do baseball. I'll be the first to admit it, but it seems like it.
Yep. All right, DJ and PK, anything before we go, PK? Your final thought for the morning.
Oh, see, love is a dream and never wake up. Change every day and taste every drop. I'm so young.
What's that from?
It's a Phoenix guy. He's a popular rock and roll blues guy who was popular in Phoenix and stuck with me all these years. Wrote some great lyrics.
All right, DJ and PK, we will leave it right there. Coming up next, it is Jake and Ben. They're next right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.